Facebook and Twitter if you want to get it up on Reddit, and then yeah, we get going.
Oh shit, not yet. Sure. I'm gonna send the link. I'm gonna send the link to you in chat here.
Oh, then I can see okay. My people. Yeah.
There you go, sir.
Well, then I gotta log into Facebook and Twitter on this, and I don't know if I remember my passwords. You want to copy and paste that and just send it to me in Messenger, Justin?
I'm on my computer, not my phone, though, so I'd have to do the same thing.
Well, son of a biscuit.
Yes. Son of a gravy.
All right, guys, bear with us. We haven't done this yet.
Yeah, take your time.
I'm just sharing it with my friends. If anyone wants to join.
Oh, where am I? Okay, there we go. All right. Cool. I guess. Let me. How do I share this with my phone? Why is this so difficult? Okay. Email. I will email it to myself. Oh, can the internet do it? Come on, little buddy, you can do it. Come on. Uh-oh.
Let me open the link on my phone and we'll see. What's the status?
I did logged into Twitter here. Let me see if I can. Damn
it.
Is there nothing showing?
Oh, we can see our faces now. Yeah, little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. That was me messing around. I have to keep the Zoom application open. Otherwise, you see, because it's just recording my desktop.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
But it's not perfect. If you wanted to see.
Yeah. Let's take a look.
Now.
Oh, well, that's dumb. How's that?
No, it's still just direct.
It'll take 8 to 10 seconds to switch.
Okay. It's now just you guys.
Oh my god,
email to me, Justin.
It's blurring up. Let me just remove this blur. I can't remove the blur anymore. Okay.
Well.
I can see all your desktop.
You can see all my desktop. Well, I guess let's just size it down. And we'll give it 8 to 10 seconds. When we tested this with 2 people, it was fine.
Yeah, so it's still fine for 2 people.
Dumb.
Can you do a full screen or something? Because no?
Full screen?
Yeah.
That's what I was doing.
It's still like this. I'm sorry, you guys.
OBS, you're kicking my ass right now.
Now that last time we were discussing a lot about recording and editing audio and all that, I think now we have a lot more to discuss with video, isn't it? Mm. I've been breaking my head over editing video and yeah, I need help there. So we're just black now. There's nothing going on.
Okay, I just switched it. So let me know if you see my whole hard drive.
No, I can just see you guys and mine and Lee's heads.
OBS, you're kicking my butt. I do not like you right now. Okay, let's try something else. There we go.
I'm sorry. So can someone else also log in and check on your phone, because maybe there's an issue with mine. It's just not showing. Oh yeah. You did something. You pulled it up, right? Do that again. Yeah. This
Good?
This looks fine.
Okay.
All right. All
Sweet.
four of us. I'm sorry it keeps getting blurred. Sorry.
I'm very self-conscious about everything. It's like,
Good to know. All right. Cool. Now, cool. I like this.
See, there's 3 people watching, and one of that is me. So no, don't worry.
Yeah, I don't really know what to expect, but whatever.
Okay.
It's,
Well, this is
we don't have to
good.
bother about posts, so that's the fun part. All right.
All right. Well, now that all of the technical fiasco is over, I guess now it's time for the introductions, right?
The gang's all here.
The gang's all here. So, I guess, hello everybody, and welcome back to DJ's Epic Quest. I am App Austin, and this is...
This is Derek, and we have Smiley's podcast with us today also.
hello everybody. This is
Hi.
Lee.
Okay, I'm Mora. So, you're back.
Yes, welcome back. This is your second time being on DJ's Epic Quest. How's it feel to be back?
Excellent.
That's good. Well, welcome. Did you ever finish the Wheel of Time, or did you stop?
I stopped on the same place where I was last time we talked.
Dragon
I finished
Lord.
like every other Muslim book I've touched since. Pod business mostly. And I can't find much time to read nowadays, but I think after finishing our series now, Wheel of Time will probably be the next on my list because it's probably easier to read. I don't know. We'll see.
That's fair. That's fair. I feel like you give it the rule of 3. You try it 3 times, and then if after the 3rd time you can't, well, I don't know what to say then.
So
Resolve
he
to
went
finish
and
it.
bought
But, you know,
4 books to lock himself into reading it, to making sure he reads.
I sunk costed myself into reading the books.
Well, yeah, welcome to our, I guess, Whirlwind Wrap-up. Again, it's good to see you guys again. It's been a minute.
Yeah. So the last time we spoke, you had just started Deadhouse Gates prologue.
Yes.
So I'm very eager to, you guys are like hardly waiting to start off with the rest of the books. How do you feel now after 50% or so?
I don't know. I mean, just the comparison in the writing and just all of the visuals that I get is just absolutely just a stark difference between the 2 books. I don't know about you, Derek, but
I would say I'm anxious. Anxious to see what happens. And
that
anxious
was live,
to-
right?
No, sorry.
So sweet.
Well, now people know that you're love and not just a nerd on a podcast.
That's fair.
And you have the heart to, say that you would hit on apt.
It's a fictional book. I'm good.
Yeah. Sorry, we interrupted Derek.
Oh, it's all right. Anxious, mostly anxious. Just these characters. I really like all of them, and even in Gardens, it was just. Lauren is the only one I didn't really care for in that book, but so far everybody in this book I really like, and curious, anxious, excited to see where the story goes. Being about halfway through this book, and we just finished up a pretty serious battle. I'm excited to see where it goes.
But even that battle was remarkable. I can't. Again, I'm a baby in the fantasy world. I'm not. I've read 1 series and a sci-fi book in the last 10 years. So, and all of those readings being within the last year and a half of those 10 years. But that last battle. Wow, here I go. Wheel of Time. The last battle we read was pretty. It was just interesting the way that I never would have imagined it was just like, Duiker's perspective, just kind of like overlooking everything that happened. It was great. It was cool.
Did you guys finish Sakala Crossing battle now? Yeah.
That was the last chapter. Yeah, that was the big battle with the road that the engineers built, like through the river, I guess, kind of under the water, and then they blew it up.
Yeah. Yeah, the sappers. The sappers are always good. Anyway, you heard of Fiddler being a sapper and being a legendary sapper and all that in Gardens. So this is where you see like those people on ground, exactly what they do and how, how downright badass these guys are.
They definitely seem like a different breed. I mean,
Yes.
yeah, I get the sense that, I mean, all these, I guess, warriors, the different factions within them, they're all kind of insane in their own way. And, everybody's running to get across the river, and then they're running back towards it so they can blow it up. And they seem pretty excited about it, so that's always fun.
And the running team of, they run out of munitions. They're always worried about running out of explosives. So, yeah. I mean, that's very understandable, right? If you have precious toys like that, you wouldn't want to just blow things everywhere.
Yeah, it makes me realize how desperate they must be. They used, all their explosives basically on this. And so, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do now.
Well, they were crying after they used all their 55 cussers, so they were disheartened. They were sad.
We're very attached to those cussers.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like if you eat your cake, it goes away, right? That's their whole idea. They just want to keep it.
They can't have their cake and eat it too. They just got to eat it, I guess.
Yeah.
That would be some explosive diarrhea.
Jesus Christ. We're off to a great start.
It can't be any better than the sword conversation.
Have you guys watched, Justin, have you watched Clarkson's Farm?
No.
Lee, have you watched that at all?
I haven't actually, but I like where this is going.
So it's one of the guys from Top Gear, and he's got a farm now, and so the second season just came out.
Mm-hmm.
And so he decided he's going to grow some chilies he's going to have a restaurant on his farm. And so he's making salsa, and he has his girlfriend try one of these peppers. And I don't remember what kind it was, but it was a Naga pepper, I think. I don't remember. I'm not good with pepper names, but she tries it and she's like, "Holy shit, this is hot." And he's like, "Yeah, your butthole is going to look like the Japanese flag in the morning." So it was a pretty hot pepper, apparently.
Off to a great start.
Yeah.
What more can you say? What more can you say?
Right?
All right, we'll tone down the poop jokes for you, Lee.
For now. No promise for later.
Yes, true.
Okay, someone commented that you guys pronounce Duiker better than the official pronunciation. How have you been saying it?
Just like you did, Duiker.
Yeah.
Duiker, right? That's the official one, right, Lee? What does Erickson say?
I think Steve says it wrong. That's because Duiker is a Dutch word. That's the Dutch pronunciation of the word. I don't know how Steve says it.
He says Diker.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Would it be
that's
Duiker?
what we were told, yeah, Diker, and I was from Evan Mora. We had when he was on with us, and you, he messaged me and he's like, "You guys, it's pronounced Diker," and I was like, "Okay, sorry, Evan, but yeah, I can't change it in my head."
Yeah, it's too late. It's too late to change.
Yeah.
The way I've
It
been
doesn't
saying
sound
it.
good. Diker doesn't sound good. It's Duiker.
Yeah.
How do you guys like him? What do you think of him?
I don't know. I would say he's probably one of my top favorite characters so far. Just the level of genius that this guy exhibits is just crazy. Is just crazy. And I know Derek made a reference to what's the firefight movie called again?
Boondock Saints.
Boondock Saints. You know, thank you. Where I don't know if you two have seen that, but he's just going through and he's just recreating everything that happened, and he wasn't even there. I think it's genius. It's just the intellect of this man. I aspire to be.
But at the same time, it makes me feel kind of uneasy about him, just because. I mean, we know he's a smart guy, and he's witnessed a lot of battles, but how is he this spot on every single time? It makes me just, a little uneasy and kind of hesitant about him at the same time.
So you guys are taking your time to think about Dulquer's actions and doing it slowly, right? So you have a good impression about him. Because when I was reading it, I was not very impressed. I found him he's
dour.
so dour. He's so
Incredibly dour.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, he's never happy. He's never he's being realistic, but it's not sunshine with him. It's always, oh God, we're going to die. That's this whole thing, right? So I don't know. It kept putting me off. But once, I was going to say just once I was done, it was good. Like I can see what a great character he is. But when I was reading it, it was a bit tedious to go through his parts.
Oh, really? I guess that's interesting. And maybe that is purely due to the fact that we are reading it more slowly than one would.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess the dour and the we're all going to die thing, I don't know. I feel like that is my mindset the majority of my day. Like, this sucks. This is stupid. Why am I doing this? Yeah.
Also, he's
Just in your
relatable to
perpetual
you.
black hole.
Yes.
Yeah,
This is why I create the art I do. Come on. This is where I live.
yeah. Have you drawn apps yet?
No.
Not yet?
No, I've been working on, things that I have been wanting to work on for a long time. So,
Okay.
I'm sure that I feel like I'm always super behind with my artwork. I'll go back and be like, hey, I should really finish this thing. And then I'm for 6 months to 7 months working on it, and then I just suddenly stop for whatever reason. And then I'm like, oh, I should probably go back and finish that. And it's just this perpetual. I would imagine once I stop, or once the kids get older and start doing their own thing, I'll have a little bit more time to come back and finish those things off. But I'm constantly, my headcanon is always around visuals every time I'm reading. So I've got a lot of things saved up in here that I could easily depict.
So all these battles, you're able to visualize how exactly all these things are going on. At least the one battle you read so far.
For the most part, it took a couple of reads, and this is just something that I struggle with, and we talked about this in the Chapter 10 podcast, but in my mind, I feel like, as Derek and I talked about, I maybe overcomplicate things a little bit too much. The way that I'm imagining, the Sekala River is that there's an oxbow island in between with some type of oxbow channel, but then in the chapter it talks about one ford, but technically there's two fords. So this is where I cause my own problems. So associating battles to landmarks and where exactly they are, north, east, southwest, and all that stuff, I'm not. Sometimes I have a hard time connecting places to things.
What about you,
For me,
David?
I guess, reading, to me, when I'm reading a battle, or especially this one, it didn't really matter to me where it was. It was just, I really liked that. I felt like I was almost a bird looking down at everything happening, just with how it was written, and Stuart's point of view. So it was, I had a pretty easy time following it with everything that was happening, and I could visualize it really well. And it was, Lee, I know you haven't got there, but to me it felt a lot like the last battle in the Wheel of Time. I guess in a little bit of a smaller scale. Because that battle takes up such a big chunk of the last book, and this was just a chapter midway through. So I can't help but wonder. That's just a taste then of what kind of battles we're going to see in the future here, especially in this book. I feel like it's going to be pretty bloody and pretty bad, especially when, we get all these descriptions of the children staked on the fence line that Kalam sees, and these sliding beds that the Malazan soldiers are on. Like, that's pretty gruesome stuff.
Yeah. The whole, I think children are dying quote, I don't know, it's like one of the favorite throughout the series. Because
I don't think we've gotten to that one yet.
We've gone that, yeah. That's later. You'll know when you read it. You'll know.
I knew it.
You'll know it.
Well, I don't feel like that ruins anything, because we know children are dying, and we've seen that. So it's.
No, the thing is, I knew the quote before I read also.
It's in chapter 12, so yeah.
Even then, when I.
Oh, so we're close.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
So, note to self, Mora wrap-up of books only.
Sorry, right. So, what do you think the book is going to, what's going to happen? What do you think? Do you have a prediction for the end?
Well, we know that the chain of dogs is some type of shadow prophecy, according to Poost. Granted, he's a crazy asshole. So, I don't know. I feel like that's the hard part with Poost, is like, do I take him seriously, or do I just take it with a grain of salt? And that's always the thing that, like, you as a reader, I guess for me, myself, I'm constantly debating between. It's like, okay, is this legit, or is he just, like, trying to stir the pot?
Yeah, we don't have an answer. We'll never get an answer. You just have to
Read and find out.
It's up to you. What do you choose to believe about him? Most of them like that, The whole shadow, the whole high house shadow is like this. With shadow throne and Puss and to some extent Krupp also. We don't really know how legit these guys are. But they're fun though. And that's part of the fun. Because you never know how seriously to take these guys.
Right.
Allow me to geek out for a quick second before I get drunk. So I did the math, right? And at some point, Duiker, when they're hitting Hissar, mentions that the distance from Hissar to Aaron is about 400 leagues.
Which is
So
like
I did the math.
800 miles, I think.
I did the math, and that's about the distance between Minneapolis to San Antonio, Texas, and an extra 100 miles on foot in the desert. So,
Oh, well, I mean, that's what we do in
have-
Minnesota
yeah.
for fun. We make that journey. Yeah,
yeah,
it's doable.
every day, just every second Thursday we just move. Yeah, it's quite the absurd trek. So Duiker being dour and just like, we're all gonna die, is like, yeah, no shit, we're all gonna die. It's like half a continent away that we need to walk. But
While they're being hunted down.
while they're being hunted, and they keep winning, and Duiker's like, hang on, why the fuck are we still winning? Why are we still alive? Why are we still here?
Oh, and they have helpful nobles with them, so.
Oh yeah,
The
shining
whining-
paragons on ability,
The whining noise.
chivalry.
I don't understand. Well, I mean, I guess they're just fleeing, but yeah, I don't know. The nobles, I mean, I don't really know what they're contributing to this march at this point. I mean, it almost seems like they're just slowing things down.
Politics,
But-
Eric. That's what they're contributing.
No, if you think
You don't
about it,
need-
it's like all the refugees are slowing them down, right? Isn't that the whole point? If it was just Coltrane and his 7, they'll be out of there in like a month or so. But they have this refugees
Yeah.
slowing down. And, hey,
Yeah, you can't just abandon all these people. I mean, I guess you could, but yeah.
That would be
Yeah.
bad.
I don't know. I think that was one of our talking points. I don't, if we want to get into that Justin. Yeah, like the whole time, you know, I'm when we have a chapter with Coltane and his march, you know, they have these engagements, they have these skirmishes. He's just this. I mean, I think as far as we've seen so far in this book series, he's probably the elite tactician with this battle planning. What he's doing, like he's not scared about it. But I don't understand, and I feel like it's a missed opportunity so far. Is you've got all these people that you're dragging along. You're winning these battles, and we know that his guys are stripping everything of use from the dead. Why aren't they forcing some of these civilians to fight to bolster their numbers? I don't get it. I mean, it's just maybe it's still hopeless, but it gives you a little bit better of a chance.
Yeah, but aren't they just like fleeing people with their possessions and stuff? Like, probably by now the fighting men might have joined the forces. But you know, it's a very disciplined army and they have a lot of other stuff to take care of, right? So you can't have like civilians dragging along who are like all of a sudden they have to wear arms and armor and try to defend the rest of them. I don't know. Wouldn't that be a bigger liability for them?
Maybe, but I feel like it's, I mean, yeah, they're not trained soldiers, but I mean, even if you kind of make them cannon fodder, I guess, but still, just it's, I don't know. I feel like it's, and maybe it'll come into play. I don't know. It's hard for me to put into words, but I feel like these people are scared, I'm sure, and even the soldiers are probably scared. But I mean, if we're outnumbered this heavily, and like I feel like if I put myself in that position, even if I had a stick and a rock, I mean, I guess we've seen a brick kill a master assassin, so who knows what can happen. I mean, you got to at least try versus, okay, well, now all the soldiers are slaughtered and we're just going to get executed. Well, I guess I'd rather die by fighting than being put through some painful execution.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. But yeah,
I mean,
maybe Colton has plans. Yeah.
I guess I feel like as far as like Camus Rouleau's peasant army that he has, and I don't know if this is just where Erickson is trying to give us a little bit of like a difference between the two sides, and you know, again, as always, part of me is always like, yeah, the whirlwind, no, the whirlwind. So, you know, it's just, it invokes empathy for both sides, and it's weird. It's weird. And usually, in my experience, it's always one side or the other, you know. Particularly with movies, right? Like, you could definitely find something where you're like, yeah, no, that's the bad guy. You know, it's always just this, like, but to have the Whirlwind Army be using peasant soldiers, right? Obviously not as trained, obviously not as effective. They're just bodies at this point. But how much more, like, systemically would they screw up because they're not trained correctly? You know? Like, I don't know, I guess I just associate it to someone who's new at playing Call of Duty and is probably not as skilled as some of the other players, and is maybe 2 or 3 seconds between deaths. You know, yeah.
But sometimes you just need the numbers. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I know they're going to be basically ineffective, but I mean, even if they kill one, I mean, it's one less, right?
or you know, even if they get killed, that's one less burden for these guys. So it would work out.
Yeah, it's not a good situation, but
no.
So, what do you think of Colton? Do you think he's going to succeed in what he's going to do?
I don't think so. I think he's going to put up a hell of a fight, but I mean, unless something miraculous happens, I don't know. I don't see how it's sustainable what he's doing.
You, Justin?
I don't know. I think he'll do it. I think he'll pull through.
Nice. Let's see which of you, has
Optimism.
started
I'm not going to put a pie on it, but
This book doesn't seem like it has the feel of a lot of optimism anywhere throughout it so far. So I'm not going to be like upset if he does pull it off. I feel like it's unlikely.
So this is one of the most gloomiest books. There are few more gloomy books coming up, but this is like unrelenting. The humor is so rare. So I don't know. There's like one joke in the whole book, I think. And I think you've probably finished it by now. I'm not sure.
I don't know. Like Iscarl's pretty funny. Bolt's pretty funny.
There's definitely been a few moments, but yeah, they are few and far in between.
Very few. Yeah. I mean, see, Memories of Ice is also quite gloomy as a book. It's quite sad, and it doesn't give you happy thoughts anywhere. But at least it's very funny. It's it is fun. It is funny in parts. It's not like unrelenting like Deadhouse. Deadhouse just
it's not that gloomy. No. Yeah, it's more.
Yeah.
It's really traditional, actually.
It's a rain cloud for sure. It's a storm cloud just bearing down on you.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say that book 8 is also unrelentingly gloomy.
And book 9. Book 9 especially. And book 10 is somewhat fine. Book 5 is fairly,
Book 5 is fun.
Book 5 is fun. Yeah, book 5 is actually really fun. So.
But 8 has this type of vibes, like 2. It keeps hitting you over and over with pessimism. So there's no, the way you feel, even if you want a happy ending, you know that it's not going to happen. Oh my God, I just noticed my real name is showing here.
I'm sorry, my bad.
We probably should have brought it up earlier, but I didn't want to bring attention to it in case no one notices.
It has like my place and my... That's okay, yeah.
Hey, Jan, welcome to the podcast.
Right. Better late than never.
Oh, man. Oh, good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, you guys might be a few more drinks deep than... I think, Justin, you got a Diet Mountain Dew, and I'm not sure what you guys are drinking, Mora and Lee, but... I'm starting off heavy here. This is our anniversary, so I thought it was only appropriate I drink an anniversary beer. So,
oh yeah, congrats guys! Congrats! It's been a year.
A year. Oh, Lee, you were
not bad.
messing around. I've got. I don't know how clearly this will come through, but this brewery, it was their 5th anniversary beer, and it's a little over 12%. So at noon.
Oh.
And it's just rum and coke.
Sick.
I'll catch up to you guys.
I ran out of beer from a couple of birthdays ago, so I'm out.
Sorry, one second. My cat's knocking stuff off the counter.
Right, so...
Let's get the easy questions out of the way first before I start asking the hard questions.
Oh, you have hard questions ready for that?
Oh, you guys... Oh, okay. Wow. All right. You guys came
We had
with
about
questions.
2 pages worth of talking points here, so...
Oh, then let's get to it. It's
Sure.
You sure? I mean, I wouldn't mind starting with the hard questions. I feel like these are easy questions for you.
Like you might, a lot of first readers that read this book are very pro Malazan, I guess. Very pro Golding, especially, in the sense that you have anywhere from the sliding blades to people being crucified all the time to raids and pillaging and rapes and all the like. But the Whirlwind Rebellion at its heart is a religious rebellion, chiefly anti-imperialist in theme, right? Because the Malazans are the invaders here. And they've not been here too long. Like maybe a generation tops. 2 generations, no more than that. I'm putting too much. Not even 2 generations. Like 1 generation tops. And in a sense, it is quite brutal. Yeah. I need to specify that. But we've also seen, like, what was it? Chapter 2 was the Siege of Pale, where one of the stipulations between the Morans and Malazan alliance was we get to kill as many people in Pale as we can in an hour, and they killed like 18,000 people, and the Malazans were like, whatever, yeah, just go for it. So, is it justified? Is the brutality, level of brutality justified from like a rebellion perspective? Because from a humanitarian perspective, it's obviously not. The brutality is like way off the charts. Sure, I agree with that. But from, would you say that the Whirlwind Rebellion as its whole is not necessarily justified, but at the very least, not what people would describe as like? Because I've seen a lot of descriptions like they're just evil. They're cartoonishly evil. Of just just kill these people in the worst way possible. For no reason other than just to be bad, so we can prove antagonists for culty. How do you guys view this?
That is deep. Shit. Well, I think that in from the Whirlwind's perspective, they've been pushed to the point of fighting back, right? Like, this rebellion is something that apparently, from what I understand, is something that is annual, not maybe annual, but just kind of comes around again and again and again. So I think that the actions are indeed justified, and it's I guess it's hard for me because I'm always, like I said earlier, kind of going back between both platforms. Like, I can empathize with what has taken place against the Whirlwind and the 7 cities, really. And, like, yes, take out the Malazans because Lucene sucks, and let's just make sure that they never inhabit this place again. But then part of me is just like, it reads the brutality of what's taking place with the Malazans, and I guess I just kind of go back to, like, the whole, 2 wrongs don't make a right thing. Mm-hmm. So I think that both sides feel that they are justified in doing what they are doing, but in actuality, there's probably a better way to do it, but they're just so backed into this corner where it's just like the only way that they know how to get out is violence.
Eric?
I feel like I kind of sit on the fence of things. I don't really know that I'm cheering for one side or the other between them. It's just, I feel kind of like Duiker. I'm just more or less here to observe things. But I feel like, a lot of these Malazans in these different cities are just, they're just there trying to live their life. Like, they probably don't, the vast majority of them don't have, like, they're not the ones planning, like, oh, well, we're going to create our expansion here and take over this continent and that type of thing. They just, I don't know. They just wound up there for whatever reason, and they're going on about their life, and they're probably very similar to, the people that already lived there. And I get why the people of the 7 cities would be resistant to them. To me, it almost, I can't speak to it, but I imagine it would be like when the colonists came over to America and, took land from the Native Americans and that type of deal. And there wasn't a rebellion to this extent with that, but I mean, they obviously fought back and it didn't go well. And we treated them like shit, and a lot of them still get treated like shit. Is it justified against these, like, common people? They're just kind of innocent bystanders, caught in the crossfire, where really they should just probably be going for the head of the snake. But how do you get there? I mean, you got to get some sort of reaction out of them to draw them in. And I mean, if you start killing their civilians, slaughtering them by, the thousands, that's going to get a reaction. That's going to get some attention. And maybe that's how you do it. I don't know. I don't know that it's justified. I don't know that it's, the brutality is justified, but it seems to be effective.
For the record, I'm not going to give you an answer because I don't think there is an answer. So these are just questions that you can ponder yourself and come to a conclusion. So, hence hard question because I don't have an answer either. I don't know. Maybe.
No. There is an answer. You just blindly support Coltrane because he's the coolest character in like this entire.
Or that. That works.
Yeah. Why bother? Why? It's you're not going to get an answer. You're going to never be able to say that any violence is justified. So might as well pick the coolest guy and support him. Team Coltrane.
Yeah. So. Team Coltrane. Sounds good.
Yeah.
I like that. Lee, I'm gonna need you to mail me a beer after that question. So.
Got it, Chief.
Well, here's a question for you all.
Yeah.
Beneth's death wasn't really shown during the riots of Skullcap. It was very vague. It was a very vague kind of, he was slapped in the face or whatever it was. I guess, do you remember what your initial thoughts were of his demise? And potentially during a second read-through, were there any types of ominous foreshadowing that led up to that? You're both smiling like he's not dead.
No, it's that the only way we know about Bennett is through what Bodin tells Felicin. And he's, right? We don't really see anything, as you say. So all we know is Bodin said some shit and he's not the most trustworthy guy. So who knows what happened? Who knows what went down? So.
But also, if Bowden has any shred of dignity, he'd snap the fucking guy's neck like a twig. So,
Cool.
I feel like he did do it. I mean, I don't know why he'd lie about it, unless he just wants to get a reaction out of Felicin. But I don't know. I'm taking it that Bennett is dead. He was an asshole, and he deserved it. I think he's gone. But
I hope he's gone. But the only source of information is this guy, who is like, I don't know, a step better than Bennett. So
give me about 2 seconds. I'll be right back. So please carry on.
Oh, so does it remove your mic?
Yeah, I figured we would just all use the same microphone. So then that way, hopefully the echo goes away. We've got some comments on YouTube, so like everyone's all echoey, and it makes me feel bad. Bad, but I looked into like digital audio capture. Like Zoom doesn't have anything that would output to OBS. It just,
Well, we can do this, off air or something. That how exactly to stream stuff through OBS using Zoom and all that. There are some. I was looking into them, but then me and Lee don't have that reliable internet connection, so we're not going to attempt any live streams or anything.
Yeah. This is our first attempt at live, and I feel like it's going okay. It's well. I definitely have my own little small critiques on it, but I appreciate everyone's patience. So hopefully the echo is better, y'all.
I hope so.
Oh, man, our test attempt at this last was quite funny.
Oh, you had it? Okay, you guys tried it before?
Just between us.
Okay. Oh, yeah, echo's gone. That's what the comments are saying. So.
Heck yeah! Woot! Woot!
All right. Do you want to wait for Lee, or do you have an easy question for me?
Well, we got the first two out of the way, right, Derek?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you want to?
We could go back to Coltrane and my other point on him.
Go ahead, go for it, buddy.
All right. So Coltrane and all these, I think we got a number of about 30,000 civilians. I don't remember if we got a number on how many soldiers he has, but maybe I guess if we call it like a total of like 40,000 people, I don't know. But this forced march that they're on, it's been a couple months. If I remember right, Justin, I think you said Duiker was tracking him for like 3 months to catch up. And it's amazing to me that just the level of exhaustion that everybody's going through. I mean, it's the civilians, I guess the elite, the royalty, whatever you want to call them, the soldiers. I mean, they're fighting. You got to fight. You got to put up a defense. And then if you successfully repel the attack, then you got to just run again. And like, where's the time to rest? It just blows my mind. I mean, everybody's sleeping for like an hour or two here or there, I guess, basically whenever you can. But just the level of that is just, it's crazy to me. I don't know how that's sustainable. And I feel like to me, that's probably the biggest driving factor why I think they're probably going to fail at some point is just, I have no idea how you keep that up for, already 3 months, but how much longer do you have to go? Another 3 months, 6 months to get to wherever you're going? How do you just not get wiped out? How do you just not fall over and die because you're so tired? But I also feel like it just speaks to his leading ability that he keeps these people going. I feel like he just shows them that they don't have a choice. It's you got to keep going. You're going to die, and you might die anyways. You're outnumbered so badly. How do you have time for anything? And it's not so much a question there, it's just kind of an observation. But I do think he's an awfully good leader. I don't know who I would equate him to in our world as far as like a leader goes. But man, he's something. He is an awfully good character.
Yeah. The thing is, as you say, it's so unsustainable, and people are getting exhausted. And how long is this going to sustain? All these points, isn't that affecting you as a reader? Don't you feel the same amount of the constant anxiety and worry about what's going to happen? And there is that exhaustion. I don't know. It happens where as you keep reading. To me, it started feeling like that you are with the people there and you're as worried as them about what's going to happen, because obviously you don't know what's going to happen, and you're as tired as them because it's you're being harassed on all sides all the time, and the only person you have to look up to is Coltail, right? So, I don't know. It makes you feel you're with the refugees, or at least with the low soldiers there or something. Yeah.
It really does wear on you. It is exhausting just reading it, because again, I think about if I put myself in the shoes of one of those people, like there's going to be adrenaline there to keep you going, but I mean, that can only work for so long, and then it's just, man, at what point do you just give up and say, you know what, I guess I'd rather just die.
No, Erickson has this ability to do that, like when he shows characters going through so much for so long, you start feeling, you feel the exact emotions that those characters are feeling. Like, I don't know, I think a good point would be comparing with Felicin. What do you guys think of Felicin as a character?
You want to go first, Justin?
Oh, God.
Why? What happened?
It's just, I don't know. I mean, in Gardens of the Moon, you just get a very brief introduction to her in the first chapter, or the second chapter, or something like that, beginning of the book. But Felicin is just, she's just like harboring all of these emotions, and I feel like her nobility didn't address that, so she doesn't have a way of dissecting how it is that she deals with trauma, because she's had a silver spoon in her entire life. Probably hasn't had any ounce of trauma outside of my older brother took my toy, or I don't even know. That's just me speculating, but she's a fucking bitch, you know? And
Oh,
the hard part is like, I get it. I understand why she's being so mean. But
For the
What's her
record,
age?
I had
The
the
thing-
exact same reaction
Okay.
with Justin on my first read. So I get it completely. I understand you. I'm not with you, but I get it.
What's her age? Justin?
she's
It's like
15.
14 or 15, right?
Yeah.
16. By her definition, she's 16. But she's probably lying.
When she's shipped away, the initial slave mines thing, when she's being shipped on along with Borden and Heberick, she's 14. And then the next scene, she's 16, when she's already an addict and all that. So I think that should color everything.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, she, in her mind,
but
is totally
She's still a
justified.
bitch.
But just
How
like
can
the
you call
way
a
that she's.
14-year-old a bitch? Come on. Wait, don't you guys have hearts? Come on.
Oh, I
No
have
matter
heart.
what
I
she does, unless
totally.
she's like outright cold-blooded murdered people. How do you guys call it a child? She's a child. How do you guys go around life calling children
mean,
as bitches? Come on.
I guess
Well,
I could just say
to be
she's.
fair, Mora, this is just Justin because Felison's probably my favorite character, honestly. And I remember when we talked at the end of Gardens of the Moon, you said to give Felison some grace, and so I really remembered that. As we've been reading.
Did I color your?
I can't remember exactly what you said, but you said something to that effect, and it's just she's a character for sure, and she definitely has a nasty streak in her. But I feel like it's more about self-preservation than just trying to be nasty on purpose.
It's a defense mechanism, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that I don't empathize with her. Like, that is, like, the least that I want you guys to take away from this. I totally understand the motivations as to why she's doing this. But it's just, she's just so damn nasty. And I'm kind of, like, impressed by it, honestly. It's not a bad thing. I think that some therapy would help her work through these things. However, I don't know if that exactly exists in this world.
I think what she needs is one of those, what the hell do they call them? Where you just go in a room and smash things with like a baseball bat.
Yeah.
Like
I understand what you mean. Yeah.
She just a rage room. That's what it is. She needs a rage room, just to get that anger out. But I feel like I kind of relate a little bit, probably with Felison the most. Just like I haven't been through anything like she has. It would be unfair of me to say that I have, but just how she deals with things, like it makes a lot of sense to me. She keeps things inside, and like myself personally, it takes a lot to get me really irritated and really mad. But when I get to that point, I'm gonna lash out pretty harshly, and she's a teenager and she gets to that point pretty quick where she just snaps, and so I can resonate with that. It makes sense to me.
It makes total sense to me. Yeah, that if I was at that age, 100% I would have behaved like that. Like I have no doubt, if I was in even half of that situation, I would have been as nasty as her. I have no doubt about that, and that's why I feel, extra sad about her. And I don't know. When we were rereading, I think there was someone who said, because they were rereading and they already know, like they're familiar with Felicity, so their impression was that as in the second time, that she's extremely hilarious. Like she nails the exact wrong thing to say at every point. She never once says the right thing to anyone ever.
Right,
It's
with
like
Heberick.
unintentionally quite hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah, with Heberick and all her cracks on his hands, or the lack thereof. Yeah, no, those are definitely entertaining. Yeah. But do you think that this internalization of her trauma, I guess, if you had to speculate, would this have something to do with this river of blood that she keeps talking about? I mean,
isn't that like her revenge fantasy in her head? That she wants a river of blood to flow?
But I feel like it's been subtly talked about by other characters. I can't specifically say who, Oh,
What's
Lee's going
doing?
like this.
I'm not gonna say shit about this
Okay. Yeah.
because it might get important later. But I'm not gonna say anything.
Okay.
Saying that itself is a spoiler. I'm nicely saying that it's probably, I'm dissembling here. Just leave me alone.
I'm not saying anything. Mora has blood in her hands. I'm not going to have that blood
I
on
didn't
my
say
hands.
Oh.
I didn't say anything. Don't worry, guys. Don't worry.
So I'm not gonna say shit either. Yeah, maybe
as much as I like Felsen, I don't think she's going to make it out of this story alive. And whether that's in this book or down the road, it feels like she's got a tragic story about her, and just I feel like it's almost like that. It's going to be that point of view of, like Justin, you made the point. She's got the silver spoon in her mouth. Was born with that, and she's going to be. I don't know that sacrificial lamb is the right type of word, but I don't have a good feeling about her living till the end of this book.
Well, and I mean, to piggyback off of that, like, there have been moments where, there have been moments inside of her internal dialogue where she's, there's suicidal ideation there. Like, oh man, I was really hoping it was a demon that would just come out and wipe us all out. So I think that she's depressed, she's sad, as Mora pointed out, and I think this just goes back to the genius of Erikson and how he could take a character that is likable, but then some people don't like it, and then other people have the ability to empathize. And I think Erikson is just trying to get you to have some type of emotion about Felsen that is conflicting to what you had perceived before.
You guys have not read Game of Thrones, right? Song of Ice and Fire.
I've watched
you read
the
it?
show. I've never read
I
it.
watched the show too. I've not read it. So.
I've read it.
Oh, you read it? Okay.
Yeah.
For me,
it's been a long time, but.
No, I only watched the show, but I try to come. I usually think of Sansa whenever Felsen comes up. The show Sansa. I think it's Jane Poole or something in the books. I'm not sure. So the way she goes through all these sorts of trauma, you have no choice but to empathize with her, right? That's like, is that right, or I'm way off? Because
I had when I read the books, I was younger. I started reading them. I think I was a freshman in high school when I read the first one, and then when did the last one come out? Like 2011.
Okay.
But I don't remember a lot of things from the books. The major events I remember, but not so much like my feelings. But the one thing I really remember noticing, comparing the book to the TV show, was in the books, I always felt like Sansa was really annoying. But then you get the TV show, and obviously the books aren't done yet, so there's still some ground to make up there. But watching the TV show, she kind of had that feeling a little bit in the beginning, but then as the show progressed, like, she was really a boss. Like, Sansa was one of my favorite characters in the TV show, especially in the later seasons, because she just, like, she saw what the world was, and she's like, all right, like, I am not taking any of this shit, like, and, I just remember, like, oh, she's a cold-blooded bitch when she sent Ramsay's dogs after him and just walked away and had that smirk on her face. I was like, oh my God, that is so awesome. Like, I loved that. And I really liked her on the TV show, and I struggled with her, at least in the earlier books. I don't really remember so much in the later books.
Okay, no, I'm just saying that a character like that, a young woman who has been traumatized repeatedly, and then when she hits back and when she tries to, like, get over the trauma and become badass, that's the type of stories we usually see, and it's much easier for us, right? As you say, it's so much easier to get impressed by Sansa, who's like able to beat her demons and get out of it. But Felsen is like the exact opposite. It's very realistic. You don't really see people going through trauma and then bouncing back like like Sansa does. It's wish fulfillment, right? But Felicin is something which is extremely realistic, and so the idea is that would you still care for a character like that who doesn't become a badass, who doesn't fight back, or doesn't really get a likability built into her character? So do you still that's what, as you say, Erickson is just making you feel all sorts of conflicted thoughts about her.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel conflicted with Felicin in the fact that like I want good for her, and I don't think she's gonna get it.
Do you know
go ahead.
When I read
God, they're
Deadhouse Gates,
smiling so deviously.
No, I was texting my friend when I was reading the first time, right? So I was constantly telling him what I thought and all that. And I remember the exact thing which I told him about Felicin was, I don't care how many books it takes, but I hope she has a happy ending. So this is the text I sent her because, we just hope, she's not even 20. Like, let her have a happy life. That's all I wanted at that, as you say, at this point of the story. Yeah. So you guys have told me that Coltrane is not going to have a happy ending. Felicin is not going to come out of this book. Is anyone going to
That's
survive?
how I feel. I don't know how I think Justin maybe feels a little different. I mean, Coltrane will have a positive ending, I think. But
I think Coltrane will make it. I also, as far as Felicin goes, I would agree with Derek. I don't think that she's going to make it through. As much as I want to hope and pray that she, as you said, has a happy ending, I don't think that that's going to happen. But
who's going to survive in this book, do you think?
Who's going to what?
Who's going to survive? Who's going to live on?
I feel like Abstelar and Crocus and Fiddler will. I think that Quick Ben will. I guess I don't know so much about Mappo and Icarium. I guess I'm kind of on the fence with them. Heberick, I don't know. I think I could go either way with him.
Jack, knock it off.
Have you met like the other guys, Lee? Those, Okay, maybe I'll text you because I don't want to spoil anything. Okay, doesn't matter. Yeah. So, Mappo and Icarium, you guys have no impression about them so far?
We're gonna have to take a break. Yeah, one sec.
Justin
does
a really good. Justin does a really good job with that storyline. Where that's one where I feel like I probably struggle with the most. I think he just has such a good understanding of it, and like does these deep dives on it, and that I really appreciate listening to him talk about it. I don't know. I like the storyline, and when he talks about things that he kind of, I guess in a sense, Justin, you really dumb it down for me.
Which is weird, because I feel like I overcomplicate everything. But
you put things, you have a way of putting things into perspective where it makes sense, where, like, I just, for whatever reason, like, I just struggle with that storyline and being able to piece things together in a way where you do it so well.
I guess.
So, you feel like Icarium because you're not able to piece things together?
Oh, Derek, the maker of machines. That's your new nickname.
I am just a dumb blonde, so I'm not constructing anything.
Then,
I guess
you guys noticed his race, right? Icarium's race. No?
What's that?
His race. What kind of? He's not human. Icarium is not human.
He's a Trell.
That's Mappo.
No, sorry. I thought you were talking about...
He's a Jagged.
Jag.
Or at least has... Yeah.
Jag blood.
He has jagged blood, yeah. There's lots more to look forward to Icarium's story. There's more coming, so...
Yeah.
I was very impressed with them even, in the first meeting. I think some divorce comes and threatens them and walks away because he's scared of Icarium. I was quite impressed with all that. Even when they first showed up on the page. No,
Which part was this?
Akarium and Mappo. I think they're one of the first scenes is in the desert,
Oh yeah.
and approaches them, and then he hears the name and goes back, right? No?
Oh, he means
They were watching the
Randers.
Raptorian.
Yeah, he meets that guy. Yeah.
Oh yes, okay. Sorry, I thought you were talking about like one of the first. Okay, wow.
No,
All right.
in Deadhouse.
Yeah, I'm. Yeah. The cat was playing with like a squeaky toy, so I like missed the first half of that conversation.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, I was quite impressed with their friendship and all that, even from the beginning. So.
It does seem like a weird, excuse me, a weird friendship though, because I guess if I was going to simplify it's like Mappo is almost trying to deceive him and hide his past from him, so that he doesn't want him to probably not realize something. He doesn't want him to remember his own past, because he must have done something. And I feel like we're kind of slowly building towards that.
Yeah, like Mappo's delaying the inevitable type of thing. Just centuries of delaying.
Right.
Yeah. So, how that all ties in though, like that's the part where, again, I have all of the majority of what I feel like are pieces, but how they all connect to each other, that I would assume is just a Raffo situation, and when that payout finally happens, if it happens, then yay, like I did it type of thing. But yeah.
But are you guys missing the guys from Gardens, the Janabakis gang?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, part of me is really
not
enjoying.
so much.
Okay.
Are we behind? Are we good?
Yeah. Good.
That was weird.
Yeah.
Is Derek stuck? I think Derek.
Oh, Derek,
stuck.
are you stuck?
Yeah,
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, your video stopped.
Oh.
But it stopped at a good
Why?
place. So
Yes,
not
you look
funny.
very cute.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can see you.
Okay.
Well.
I'm not so much. I'm not necessarily missing the characters from Gardens. Like, they're doing their thing, whatever. But I'm really digging these characters that we have right now, and I think it's just enough. We have Fiddler, we have Crocus, and we have Absolar to kind of tide us over, to have that tie into the pre-book. Like if we didn't have them, then maybe I would have a little harder time. But there's still enough of a connection for me that I haven't forgotten about the characters in the other book, but I'm not missing them with what we have going on now.
Gotcha. You still there, Derek?
Yeah. Can you guys not hear me?
You're breaking in and out quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, Mora's gone, so I'm gonna have to take it over from here. It seems. What other guy? Well, so there's the we mentioned the Crocus Outlaw Fiddler gang, which one subredditor, which is reading Deadhouse Gates now, colloquially named Crabfid, which is what I'm gonna use from now on because I find it fucking hilarious. So Crabfid and Kalam, I guess, are the group we're talking about. So what are your impressions of those guys? Because they have certain goals. They're not necessarily communicating with everyone else.
Thank you, Justin.
Okay, all right, we'll do. Well, I feel like both of these guys kind of stem from the same source, which is Quick Ben. I feel like they are operating off of similar goals based on what Quick Ben's vast and infinite knowledge of Raruku is. I feel like as far as their mission, though, it definitely seems like what I've pieced together, which may or may not be right. But I think that's the joyous part. Is I really do enjoy being wrong, especially when that payout is like, that makes so much more sense. But I think that Quick Ben is going to use Tremolor in the middle of the Raraku Desert to, like, as a portal way to Malaz City where Deadhouse is. Yeah, I guess that's what Kalam is doing. I think that he's going to Aaron. I think that they're just finding different ways to Malaz City to eventually, hopefully, maybe, potentially take out Lacine. But I think it's interesting. There was a part in, I can't remember specifically what chapter, but at this point in time, we know that Kellenved and Dancer are Cotillion and Amanus, who occupied and used the Deadhouse in Malaz City, from my understanding, to potentially ascend. So I think it's interesting that we have this Shadow Throne, Kellenved and Dancer, who are now occupied or maybe kind of reigned over the Azath houses. And we have people who want to take out Lacine attempting to use these, which aligns with Shadow Throne's goal, which I would assume to get revenge upon Lacine. So, of course, they're going to allow it, right? They're just going to let it happen. I don't know if at this point they need or have or want to directly kill Lacine. I think that they are getting a sense of satisfaction by moving all these chess pieces to make it happen.
Yeah, that's.
I feel like I'm so drunk right now, I'm gonna slip up accidentally. So if you see me giggling, it's not because you said something necessarily. It's because I'm giggling because of the alcohol. So yeah, good shit so far.
Okay, well, I mean, from now on, you are Iskerl Poost because he is a giggler. I just imagine him like, and like dancing and twirling and yeah.
Yep.
Oh, but he's very cute. He's so cute. It's correct.
Yeah, he reminds me of, like, as Derek points out a couple of times in our episodes, Futurama, Professor Farnsworth. Yeah.
Good news, everyone.
Good news, everyone. Right, yeah. You're all fucked.
Hey. And there's and he's got, who's got the little monkey pet in Futurama? Isn't there like a one-eyed little monkey thing?
Nibbler. That's Layla.
It's the Bacarala.
Yeah. Yep.
It's Moby.
Moby.
I think Erickson copied from this show. Which preceded which one?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think that that was your question, right, Lee? Was that sufficient?
I don't think we have a response to what you just said.
Insufficient.
So we'll just move on.
Okay, sounds good. I know that there isn't a ton here, but I guess we're curious about what you guys thought about the Jade statue your first time reading through Deadhouse Gates. I know this is probably hard. I understand it comes back. What purpose it has, no idea. But wondering what your impressions were the first time you guys read it.
My first impression was like,
Justin, for sure.
Don't touch shit you find in the desert, just randomly. Just don't touch things that you shouldn't be touching.
Gotcha.
When you find like a finger that's like 9 foot tall, just steer clear, like change sidewalk, change like the entire desert, just leave the continent entire. Just don't touch that shit.
Yeah, just call up in his Ath house and get the hell out.
Something like that, yes.
Yeah.
So it's not good, is what I'm picking up from this. It's bad news.
What exactly has happened so far with the Jade statue?
So
They just found it in the desert, and Hebrick touched it with his stump.
And then? That's
And then
it.
he has a ghost hand.
Okay, he has a
On the
ghost hand.
Yeah,
Lee,
yeah.
what? Lee is better prepared than me today for this episode, so
Hardly.
I have to like look at his cues and keep quiet. Right. So the jade statue thing, yeah, as you say, it does come back. It is important. But my first read through for all 10 books, I tried so hard to ignore the whole thing. I tried not to engage with it because it's extremely confusing.
Yeah, it's very confusing. Yeah, it is difficult.
You guys have each other and you have the time to sit and think about these things. So I'm sure you'll do a good job, but it is extremely hard to piece together. So good luck on that. Just you won't get answers spelled out or anything, but as you keep reading, you'll have to put the effort and try to understand what's going on.
Well, I think here's my theory based on what I know. When Culp was using his Warren to look at Hebrick when they first arrived at the coast, he saw the Otateril and this unknown sorcery battling with each other, right? Like writhing snakes. And so my thought is this is what created Otateril. This was the magic that created Otateril.
Yeah, nice. Good theory. Yeah. This is what I'm saying. You guys have the time and and each other to think these things. So you're doing a good job already. But I was trying so hard to ignore anytime anything jade comes up. I was just trying to ignore those pages.
A big finger. Yeah, that was basically the end of my thought process as well. It's like, okay, cool. He touched that thing and shit happened.
But there are so many other things going on, right? They're going to die in the desert. There's no water, and there is some, I don't know, so much things are going on everywhere, and then there's this jade statue, and the handless guy suddenly gets ghost hands, and yeah, I was trying not to focus on that.
What I found interesting was, I don't remember who was asking who about it, but somebody said, "Oh, have you seen a bigger one than this or something?" And then they said, "Yeah, I think it was an Aaron." So I'm wondering, like, are there other statues made out of like different things? Like, so this one's made out of jade, but is there one made out of like? I mean, I don't even know, something else besides jade, but.
Well, I know that with the D'Ivers and the Soul Taken plaguing, or I guess making the majority of the Warrens on Seven Cities a little bit cumbersome, you have to revert to some of the more historical ways of doing that. And from what I understand about the things that I read in the Solanda things and having to deal with elemental sorceries, I feel like jade being elemental, that this is potentially maybe an archaic use of sorcery, or an archaic way of tapping into something. I don't know.
I'm not sure if we get to see more statues. I think it's implied that there are statues all around, but I'm not sure if we actually get to see, at least not in Erickson's stories. I don't think it's a spoiler to say, but it's always jade whenever the statues come up. I don't think we see any other material being used for these statues.
Okay.
It seems like weird to put like, oh, we're trekking through the desert and here's this thing.
Random finger go.
Was the writing really good? Like, you get the sense of scale. They think it's some huge tower and they keep walking closer and closer, and then they figure out it's a finger. I think that's well done.
And then they're wondering, well, okay, well, you got this giant finger. Well, what's below the sand? You got the hand and the arm and the body, and yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
If I recall, like, someone did the math on the subreddit and figured out like the whole thing would be somewhere like 400 feet tall, which is ridiculous.
And that's a finger.
Yeah,
the whole thing, like the finger is like 10 feet tall. The whole thing would be like, it's human to scale, it would be like 400 to 500 feet tall. So whatever humans they make, wherever that shit came from, are pretty big.
Interesting.
I think that Derek and I were just kind of like, this is too random to not have any type of meaning. So I guess we wanted to, get your lay of the land on it. Derek, you
So,
want to... Sorry.
do you have another question?
Yeah, I think Derek does.
Which one do you want me to take? Because I feel like we talked about Duiker here already.
Well, the ones you should see them all. The ones that we talked about are crossed off. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
So again, Justin, this is one I feel like you do a good job with again. But so Heberick and his tattoos, it's another thing I kind of struggle with. Just
We lost him.
Okay, well, give me 2 seconds then. I'll be right back. Derek comes back. Okay, hi, Derek.
It's almost like he's going through this metamorphosis.
We lost everything that you said, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, from where? Where?
The beginning.
From high.
Okay, so Heberick, so I was saying, Justin, this is another storyline I think you do a really good job with. But Heberick and his tattoos, I kind of struggle with to an extent. I feel a little confused at times because, his skin's getting darker, but his tattoos are illuminated, or however you want to word it. But it's almost like he's going through this weird metamorphosis. And I guess it's not really a question; it's just kind of an observation that I have about him. But I don't know what it could mean. I don't know. I think it's almost like Heberick's a hot dog, and his tattoos are where he splits apart when you're grilling him.
It's fair to say, I don't think anyone has compared Heberick to a hot dog before.
Hot dog.
Heberick hot dog hands.
Oh God. Yeah, no, that's as great as my theory about Krupp eating in order to have dreams.
Yeah, you know what? It's become my head canon now because I don't think it's ever explained, and I've just accepted that now. He just has to have sugar and then go into, sugar dreams, and that's when his magic comes in. Who knows?
You did it, Justin.
I did it. Yes, I'm
to
an
ask
integral part of Malazan.
We had a chance to talk to Erickson, but I forgot. I forgot to ask this. I should have. But then, Erickson, his usual answers to most things are who knows, and it's up to you, and don't obsess over these things, and I don't remember.
And I would obsess over these things, it should be noted. Over the things that Erickson says not to obsess over, I would obsess over them repeatedly. So,
I don't know if we ever told you guys. I did message Mr. Erickson on Facebook a while. It was about when we started Deadhouse, I think, right, Justin?
Okay.
A little before, I think.
Yeah. So, and it took a few days, but he did message me back. But basically, I just asked him once we finished Deadhouse, if we could get a chat with him, and he said he could probably make some time for that. So hopefully, once we finish this book, we can set something up to have a conversation with him. So
please do.
I was pretty excited that he even replied back to me.
He doesn't say no. As far as I've seen, if you have even a tiny show, he doesn't say no. He comes on. He loves talking to fans, and he's great fun. He's so much fun to talk to.
And I've wanted to listen to your guys' stuff so bad, but I'm just I can't do it right now.
Yeah. No, just the next best thing is to call him directly and talk to him yourself. That's the next best thing. But he's not very strict with spoilers, so you might have to
He might slip, yeah.
He does slip.
Okay.
He does it all the time. Yeah.
Okay.
No, he constantly goes on the other podcast, the 10 Very Big Books. That podcast.
Yep.
So initially, at least before he had an idea of how spoilers work and all, he spoiled a lot of stuff for those guys. So
I'm sure we would.
Don't listen. Yeah.
I'm sure we would tell him that we're first timers. I guess 10 Very Big Books though. I mean, we talked to Peter from them, and he's the.
Yeah.
I mean, his friends haven't read it, but he has. So yeah, it's. interesting because spoilers wouldn't be so much there for Peter, but for the others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, initially he had no clue. Erickson had no clue, like, how spoilers work. He would just bring up anything, anytime. But then I think he's become, the newest interviews and all, he's quite okay with it. Like, he knows what not to bring up from future. So.
Gotcha.
But
Gotcha.
he's great fun to talk to. He's so good. I don't know. The first time I spoke, it was just me and him, right? So I was so nervous. I thought, it was not going to go well, but then he was very sweet. He asked me questions because he knew I was being like tongue-tied and I didn't know what to tell. So then it was more of a back and forth rather than like just me asking him stuff.
That's really cool. I mean, my heart would be beating out of my chest. I would have been so nervous.
You have no idea.
Yeah, because this time we had both of us, Lee and I, and I think Lee was.
I had to look like at the walls so I could concentrate and like phrase things properly.
Mr. Erickson.
I couldn't look at the camera. I couldn't look at him. I had to just look at the wall and just speak.
Even through the webcam, you can see him like completely into you and completely listening to you, and it just you feel listened to. It's so good to talk to him.
He's very nice.
Please,
Yeah.
you guys should not miss this chance. Please get him on your show.
It's really cool to know that. I mean, a guy that sold millions and millions of books will just, that he's willing to do that. So that's reassuring for us, I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We also spoke to Esselmont, after talking to Erickson, because we were reading his books, right? Our whole first season was about reading Esselmont's novels. And then we were able to like contact him and ask him to come, and he came. He's extremely fun, but then he's not as talkative as Erickson.
The man's brevity is legendary. Like you ask him a question at like 2 minutes long, he answers in 20 words, and he like covers every base. It's unreal. Like, dude, like what? Like, holy shit! It took me like
I remember
10 minutes to think of the question, and he answers in like 20 seconds flat. Like, yeah, well, you do good. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah. And then I just have to shrug and move on.
And I think the cherry was that because we were like running out of questions and we didn't know what else to ask him. And after the end, he said, "Oh, I hope I've not given away too much details for you guys."
Like, dude.
Very, very close pause. But he's so good because like he's the co-creator of this whole world, right? All the magic system and all those initial characters and all are through his gaming. Like he was the DM initially. So it's good fun to talk to, but I hope you guys like include Esselmont's books when you reach that point in your read along. Maybe not spend these many weeks on each of his books, though they are dense, but just for the sake of finishing it faster. But I hope you guys include his books.
We've talked about it, but I don't know that we've really decided on that point yet, because we still have some time. But
Yeah, still
definitely
got quite a while. Yeah.
We still
I think after Midnight Tides, you guys can decide.
After Midnight Tides or before?
After.
Yeah, after.
Before the Bone Hunters, before book 6.
That's the Night of Knives can be read like any time. You guys can just pick it up today and read it. It's not going to spoil anything. It's extremely tiny. The Return of the Crimson Guard, ideally, read it before Bone Hunters.
Okay. I have both of those.
Or after Bone Hunters, is that what you want to say, Lee?
Yeah, he said that it's after Bone Hunters. I read it after Reaper Scale. It works then. Just read it after the Bone Hunters. Read Night of Knives before the Bone Hunters. So there's a few characters that appear there, in the Bone Hunters.
I feel Return should come before Bone Hunters.
It happens after it, though, chronologically.
But it spoils stuff from Bone Hunters.
It happens like after the Bone Hunters, like right after though. So
Look at him argue, Justin.
Sorry, yeah.
No, it's okay. Mom, Dad, quit fighting.
But Return is extremely dense. Like that's not Esselmont style. So if you guys started, it's good you guys are habituated to summarizing stuff because there's a lot of stuff happening and it's so hard to keep track of stuff. Rest of his books are very, very easy to go through, but Return is hard.
It's very easy, like relatively speaking. But yeah, it's fine. It's pretty big.
So,
anyway.
Would you guys recommend reading both authors?
Absolutely, I did.
Congruently?
I did on my first read, and I have no regrets. It's great. it feels a lot of gaps. It's very it's a fun read at the end of the day. I read it because the premise of the book interested me. Like I read the publisher something like I'm gonna read this shit. And I read Returns and I read the title. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna read this shit as well. And by the time I got to Stonewheel, I'm like, okay, whatever, I'm just gonna finish this series as well. And it fills a lot of gaps. It sets up quite a few things because essentially the two series are in dialogue, so to speak, because the two authors are friends. They speak to one another through the books, and one character gets picked up in one series and gets picked up by another, and then they go back and forth quite a few times.
And there are a lot of snarky jokes in between.
There are a lot of snarky jokes. They have constant digs at one another through the books.
Eric has a serious term for something, and then Esselmont will come and say, "Oh, this is not the way I would call these guys."
Yeah. Esselmont is completely irreverent to every character ever because he's the veteran of the RPGs. So he's gone through all the serious phases and whatever, just fuck it, just do things. And Steve is trying to take things seriously and build up a legend. Yeah, whatever. These guys are idiots. They're criminals. Fuck them.
Because you're paying so much attention, right? So I think it would be nice if you guys can, include these books also. If it doesn't take too much time away from your main series. Okay, I should not say main series because
the Books of the Fallen.
I get triggered.
You get offended.
Yeah, when people say main series, the Book of the Fallen, I get triggered. So.
Justin, I feel like that kind of answered it for us, huh?
I think that's what
you
we gotta do, isn't
after
it?
midnight tide.
You have 3 books to decide, so take your time.
So we got a year and a half to figure it out.
Yeah.
And the title and the title will make sense, Return of the Crimson Guard. Once you realize who is the Crimson Guard, you might be more interested in trying to find out what's going on with them. Okay, I think the important question here is, what is your impression about Lasine so far? Nothing much, right? But Bull, I think, has something to say about her in beginning of Deadhouse Gates.
Oh, yeah, where he defends her actions.
Mm-hmm. What do you think? Do you think he's just... You are not Bull Lee, sorry.
I'm not going to start calling you Uncle Lee.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I'm
greatly disappointed. Yeah, well, that's fine.
I don't know. I guess it was interesting. I feel like it sounds like the Wiccans, we know, were fighting amongst themselves, and we know that the Wiccans were kind of an enemy of the Empire at one point in time. So, and also Lasine banned or had some type of ban on warlocks and then pretty much wiped them out to the point where we get the Crow scene where we have souls being taken from spikes outside of Unta and carried into younger bodies, newborn bodies, right? Soul shifting. I find it interesting knowing all of these things were bestowed upon the Wiccans by Malazan, just to have them okay, yeah, cool, we'll be your best friend, it's to the point where I feel like it's a calculated move on the Wiccans' point. I feel like somewhere down the line there's going to be a moment of rebel or sabotage potentially. Is this an intentional, yeah, cool, we'll be best buddies, I'll do your bidding, but at the end of the day, you're still an asshole, I'm fucking you over,
I think one of the quotes from Colting was the short-haired woman doesn't understand Wiccan ways or something. So they get the Empire, they're expansionists, they're imperialists, they care first and foremost for resources and land. The opposite is not true, because they spiked the warlock 80 years old by this point, right? He's in a weak, frail old body. They kill him, congratulations, you fucking killed him, cool. Now he's a young guy who can relive his life again and be more powerful. So, congratulations, idiots. You killed our warlock, our most powerful warlock, and now gets reborn to be more powerful next time. So there is some sort of reverence from the Wiccans for the Emperor, obviously, who united them, right, and gave them a purpose. But there is no enmity necessarily between the Wiccans and the Malazans, which is interesting because they subjugated them and then killed all their warlocks because because Lassine's a bitch sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
So it's interesting to see the dynamic develop of like Duiker, who is old, right? He's part of the original guys, the old guard, or he knew the Emperor in life. He was like instructed by the Emperor to like be educated so that he may record the imperial histories and stuff. And then Bolt comes along and like, well, yeah, but these guys were great conquerors, sure. Were they good administrators? Did they ever bother to administrate? Were they good at like rulers? Like, I don't fucking care. Like, she killed her. Are you kidding me? She killed my friends. Yeah, but they were her friends as well. But they were my friends. Do you not see the problem here? So, Bolt's perspective on Lassine and Coltane's perspective on Lassine is interesting only further because she posted him on like a Badwater Italian like garrison, like one of the best commanders the Emperor has ever seen, just randomly put Lace in some like backwater shithole because she didn't trust him. Because who knows?
No, maybe.
I'm not going to say. It's up to you guys to decide.
Maybe.
I have an answer, but I'm not going to say anything.
No, maybe she kept him back. She kept him in reserve till he was actually needed. She was playing the long con because, why waste him on tiny battles and tiny things when there is a huge rebellion coming up? So she kept him in reserve.
I'm not going to say anything.
That way. It comes up in the book. I'm not saying it's just my thoughts or anything. It just comes up in the book. Like Duiker thinks whether she was holding him back, like as a demotion or something, hiding him away from the action, or was she keeping him in wait and in readiness to take over? And
on that topic, by the way, Whiskey Jack in Guardians of the Moon prologue was commander of the Third Army. In the book, he's sergeant of the Bridge Burners, under the command of Ganos Baron. So
no, Ganos is the captain.
There is precedent for, let's say, demoting people who are ambitious or powerful or competent. So.
Well, right, because Whiskey Jack was commander of Dujek at one time.
Yeah.
And now it's the vice versa. Yeah. So, Lee, are you saying that the Seven Cities rebellion, that's a backwater thing that she's throwing Coltane into?
So you have like Pormquil, right, who is like this high fist guy who has overall command of the entire place. And then you have Coltane, who was placed in, I don't even remember where he was placed, but he wasn't originally the face of like Hisar. He was in some Italian backwater like Valor or like Wiccan Plains or something like that, where he wasn't powerful. He didn't have many legions under his command. He didn't have really much of anything.
He was resting and getting ready.
Like,
Please.
the apocalypse starts brewing, and suddenly Coltane gets like detached from his posting into like the heart of everything at like the command of the Seventh Army with his Wiccan troops. So I'm not saying anything.
Sorry,
but
so are you insinuating that this was a calculated move by Lassine?
I'm not saying anything. That's you saying that, not me.
Justin, you're the one who hangs out on Reddit. Have you seen Lee's user flare?
No.
No? Good.
No, it's Benighted Lassine Apologist, so I'm the Lassine Apologist guy, so
Gotcha.
Colloquially known as the Lassine guy or Lassine simp, depending on how generous you want to be.
Oh god, that's funny.
So like I may be slightly biased, maybe. I will concede the point, but I'm not saying anything, so I can't be biased.
Well, it's funny you bring that up because I had a thought that is based or surrounded upon our next question that kind of, I guess, deals with Lassine a little bit.
We have a Lassine question.
It's not really a Lassine question. it's kind of I guess I'll just ask and we'll get to it. Are you cool if I take this one, Derek, or did you want to read it?
Go ahead.
Okay. So Bowden, and this is, I guess it's no spoiler at this point, but we have read the first chapter of the next subbook, The Chain of Dogs.
Yeah.
So in there we find out that Bowden is a Talon, right? And this is kind of like a first edition of the Claw, right? So, which is kind of cool because we get an answer as to why he's such a badass, and all of these things that, like, up until this point kind of pointed at Bowden being this there's something more than just he's a thug, you know. That buildup was just really cool to see. And I guess here's my thing going back to the scene is it was said that this is the Talons were what inspired Lucine to create the Claw, which then the Claw eventually takes out the Talons, right? And the Talons are all just dispersed here and there, and it kind of just feels like an underground assassins club at this point. Is what I'm getting from it. But my comment about Lucine here, Lee, is that it kind of feels like a cop-out. Like she just took what was already established and made something herself without having to do it by herself, if that makes sense. It felt really copycat-y.
So, in a sense, you're right.
It's a good idea, Justin.
Right?
If it's
In
a good
sense,
idea, just
what
slap a
Derek
new
is
name
saying
on
is
it.
one thing. What Derek is saying is one thing. That's correct. The thing is, the Talons and the Claws were meant to be working in complementary roles, right? The Talon, when Kellenville was still in power, was the external covert arm of the Muslim Empire. They work, outside. Like, they're the CIA to the Claw FBI, right? They work out of the borders of the Muslim Empire. They take care of like sabotage or assassinations or any sort of covert operation you would handle outside of the empire. The Claw were like the Gestapo or the secret police of the Muslim Empire. They were working within the confines of the empire. They were an internal organization that chiefly focused on dealing with internal threats, like rebellion management or taking out potential upstart nobles and the like. So when the Claw started taking out the Talons, they had to focus on fixing that gap, because they didn't have an external organization anymore. So they kind of had to go from somewhere, and that somewhere was already in the Talon. So why fix what isn't broken and just not copy the Talon, which was already, a pre-existing concept? So that is a theme that comes up a lot, because the Claw weren't made to be an external organization, but when they have to be, they work off the Talon, and by extension, they're kind of stretched thin, because we mostly see the Claw as an external position. Like, they're like running the black market in Pale. They're infiltrating like Dargistan to like bribe like the Vorkin and the Assassin's Guild. Less so internally, policing the Empire and doing subterfuge and stuff. So, You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. It is a copycat organization, but the point is, they're not doing it because, like, I guess, we have nothing better to do, but because they kind of have to, because, they weren't made for this purpose. So.
Lucine is a copycat. I think we can all agree on that. Even Lee can agree with what Lucine did.
I guess, yeah, she is kind of.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Sounds good.
The whole Talon thing, I'm so glad you guys picked it up so easily.
Yeah, I'll let Mora take over for this one. I'll be right back. One sec.
Yeah, I was not sure about the Talons. Like, I did not realize that it's a separate organization and Bodin is a Talon and all that. I did not pick up that. I was just reading so fast because I wanted to get back to Coltrane and the Chain of Dogs.
That makes sense.
I'm very happy you guys picked it up because it's all laid out. Only the second read I realized that like everything is spelled out. Like all these things which you're telling me was all probably like second read pickup for me.
Okay. Yeah, we I don't know. I guess and I know this is like really down in the future, but I'm really excited to go through this series again. And I've only finished one book and half of another one. Like,
Yeah.
I just always associate it to movies that I watch nowadays that I watched when I was younger, and there's always that like really small thing that you pick up, but it makes so much more of an impact because you picked it up. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading it again. And I think at this
You know
point,
what? Like Erickson's philosophy is, he thinks that like people buy books, you pay money and buy a set of books, and you're supposed to get your money's worth. So you should be able to reread his books. Like he tried to reread his childhood favorites like Conan and all, and he could not read them again. And he felt like, that's such a waste. Like books should be written to be read again. So that's why he writes these books like that. And you will have a lot of stuff to pick up when you do a reread. You can just do a quick reread. You don't have to like focus so much on everything, but all these things will start, making more sense. And I mean, even now, if you go back to gardens, you'll have a lot of extra information to pick up, right?
yeah.
I think so, yeah, for sure.
Mean, that was my plan, was like once we got to about halfway through Deadhouse, is that I would go back and reread Gardens of the Moon. So I think that's what I will do in my downtime.
Like, there are people who like after each book they go back and reread from the first. Like after book 3, they go back and reread 1, 2, 3, and then move on to 4. And I don't know. I'm sure they pick up a lot of stuff, but yeah.
Cool. Well, I gotta potty real quick. But Derek, you want to take this next question?
Is there any
Sure.
character we want to ask Lee? I think we covered all the important ones.
Yeah, I think so. I believe so.
Sorry, Derek. Yeah.
What was? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Oh, I just.
So we were wondering if we have any more questions from our side, but I think we've covered all the factors we wanted to know.
So, go
So
wild.
if you have a question, yeah.
BRB.
I feel like we kind of talked about this a little bit, but so we've got Fiddler, Apslar, Crocus, and at least like right now, it kind of feels a little bit like an escort type mission from a video game, which I'm not always a fan of those because it's I always feel like it's a little bit annoying. Like, oh, okay, so you got to get point A to point B and not let these people get killed. And again, this really isn't a lot of a question, but the one thing I'm looking forward to seeing more of is, and I think we're going to have to, but we met Grillin, the Tide of Madness, which I think is just a really cool name.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's got to play a role later on from Eganton. I don't know if I said that right or not, but like, what a cool name. What a cool like place to be from just based on the name. So he was like he's a diver and he's just like a billion rats. So yeah, I don't know what's there, but like the intrigue is there. Like it's got my brain wondering what could come out of that. I don't know what kind of answer you could have.
We can't comment on Grillin right now. No.
Okay, well that tells me probably enough of what I need to know that he's gonna play a role later.
Yeah, but it's that the whole subverting your expectation. Erickson goes above and beyond. Like you don't even have an expectation to get this badly subverted. So yeah, I don't know. You just Grillin is just a raffle. Let's just keep it like that.
That's fair. That I think that's fine. Our next point, I think Justin and I both agree that probably even cooler than the battle we had at the river was the Solanda. This I guess basically a ghost ship. We got the headless Tisti-Andi, the Tisti-Edur, Talanimus show up. And I think Justin and I disagreed a little bit over like the methods of how the Talan showed up. And Justin kind of felt like they were able to like use the particles like in the water to, I guess, appear on the ship, where I felt like they used like the ship itself as like land to coalesce, whatever you want to say, on the ship.
Transmorgify.
No, I think
Yeah.
it's quite clear in the text that there is silt in the water. There is silt which washes up on the ship, and then the
Ooh.
Talanimus show up.
Justin,
That's the keyword.
you got to vote there.
When silt comes up, I think you ought to look out for this. That silty, sandy stuff like water usually signifies that there's Talanimus fuckery going on.
Yeah.
My thought was just like, okay, so if the Solanda wasn't there and there's just silt in the water, at any point they could just appear. It didn't seem to make much sense to me, but that was just my thought.
Yeah. So, did you guys? What do you think about this guy? I'm sure you finished it before, but I'm just going. Is there a flint sword involved? There's a sword involved. Someone has.
Yeah.
Stormy.
Yeah, Stormy gets it. I thought Stormy was
yeah.
fucking gonna die. Like I thought he was gonna get just cut in half.
Yeah.
I was like, no. And like that was like it seems like such a small thing, but because Gessler's like, no, don't take Stormy. Like take my soul instead. And I don't remember the Imus's name, but he was like,
Legana breed. Yeah.
And I thought that was just the coolest line. Like I could see that so clearly in my head. Like I love that line. Just one word, and it was just like I was so excited about that. I don't know why, but it was
What
just
line?
like it was where
Insufficient or something. Yeah, insufficient.
Yeah, just like it really got me going. It was just like, man, that's like. Well, I guess kind of a downer for Gessler because he's trying to do this honorable thing, and you're not good enough to be killed in place of Stormy. So what did he see or she see in Stormy to give him the sword? Where, like I said at the time, I thought he was just going to get chopped in half, sacrificed. But I don't know. That whole sequence was probably one of the coolest parts of the book so far.
So that Talanimus name is, I think, Legana breed, which I remember very clearly because I definitely cried over that scene. I felt so bad that he's clanless, and then he's like, I'm sufficient. Just take care of my sword, and then he goes off.
And then Stormy asks, is there pain involved? And the other one says like, absolutely yes. There's pain forever. Like, ooh. Damn, like that's pretty dark, and Legana just offered themselves up for it.
But
yeah, very noble.
It's I agree with all that, but no, Lee. Okay, I'll keep it. I think that you guys should go back and reread this section because I cried over it, as I said, and then I felt extremely stupid about myself. So I hope you guys go back and read this section again.
Well, I mean, they took the Tisti-Andi head up there, and I'm not sure what that's about yet, but there's got to be a reason behind it, because otherwise you wouldn't have done it.
Yeah. And only Truth observes that. Only Truth notices that he's taken a head with him. Like, just as Tommy and Truth, the third younger guy, only he notices that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they mention it later, or shortly thereafter. But it is interesting. I wonder. You get this. At least at this point, Stormy feels like a pretty minor character, and has this. I feel like it's a pretty major thing. Like you were just gifted this sword, and told to. I can't remember exactly how it was worded, but to like find its weight or something along those lines. It was just like, well, what does that even really mean? Like, you can hold the sword in your hand and feel its weight, but it's got to be something deeper than that.
Can I just mention like the fact that we glossed over the fact that like there's a ghost ship being rowed by headless Dice Andy that are bound to like life by magic from another like type of dice, like that dice eater, and we just completely like gloss over it. Like, yeah, what? It's just another fucking Tuesday on Malazan of Iron. Like, this shit just happened to me now.
It's just another Tuesday. Like, yeah, these things happen.
Yeah, just, fuck it, why not? So,
I wasn't. I just hadn't gotten to that part yet. That question.
What do you mean, Justin?
Well, I was gonna talk about that when
did I fuck up?
it came to the mean ass Warren menace. I always want to say mean ass, and I know that's not right.
The mean ass Warren. Yeah,
The mean ass Warren. But yeah.
I guess that's kind of how I said it, but I didn't really realize, like, oh, mean ass. Now that just kind of dawned on me. Like, we got the mean ass Warren. Like, it's just a bitch.
Right. So that's how I want to say it. But I was just speaking of the Tuesday Udor, the mean ass. God damn it, being the Warren. Mora, I can't look at you right now because you're about ready to spit your drink out.
Sorry.
We're talking about the mean ass Warren.
Okay.
How would you even go about saying that? Is it Manas?
Yeah, call it Manas.
Manas?
Yeah, so,
I think that's better.
Okay. All right. I will make the E silent from now on. So the Manas Warren, we understand
I
is
just think about Manus.
this does not get better.
I'm the only one thinking that it's meanness. It's meanness. Yeah. Why are we talking about the meanness one right now?
What an unfortunate name.
Because Lee brought up the Tuesday Udor, and he was making a comment about how we glossed over all that stuff when we just hadn't gotten to it. It's okay.
We hadn't gotten there.
It's okay. I mean, yeah, we've got a couple of questions in between, but we can. There's no order. There's no format here. We're just kicking it.
No, the whole Cylinder
This is
thing
exactly
comes
what it
back.
should be.
Right.
Yeah, it comes up again. So it's a big mystery, but you have something to look forward to. You're going to read it again.
Yeah, it was. Sorry, go ahead.
So across multiple books, it keeps coming back. And it's good fun because what you're seeing is like the end result. And then you guys get to see some of its origins. No, not what the origin you expect, but a different kind of origin you're going to see.
Yeah.
It comes back. That's all I'm going to say.
I got that kind of feel from that. It felt like old and new at the same time, which was really weird. It felt like this past present type of situation. And I know that it was explained to us that it does happen a couple of other times from different perspectives. But is the dragon, the undead dragon, part of those perspectives? Because to me, the way that everything, I guess, transpired is it almost felt like the undead dragon was part of the Minas Warren, but then for whatever reason either existed outside of it. I almost feel like the Warrens are like these giant balloons with like landscapes inside of them, like a sandbox type of landscape. And in between these balloons that all exist in this universe is like the Warren of Chaos, right? So the way that I imagine this undead dragon is that we've got the Tuesday Udor where the Solanda was stuck in, that Warren, that sealed the tear. And then we've got the Minas Warren, right? And so Culp was able to bridge, being that they are essentially, Minas was a child of Udor, they were able to bridge into that. And then the dragon, the soul-taken dragon, I'm assuming, in a transition from the Minas Warren to reality, I felt like it wasn't actually in the Minas Warren, it was operating outside. But that part I'm not like it felt like he existed within the Warren but outside the Warren as well. So I'm sure this is a Raffo thing. So
Do you have anything to tell Lee? Anything without spoiling all the stuff?
I have no clue like this is this comes up a lot because what the fuck are the Taste Eater? We don't know, right? No fucking clue. What is the different warrants that they have? No clue. Where did these guys go? No clue. What the fuck did they go through? Don't know. Who is this undead dragon? Don't know. Like all of this comes up again later, so I don't know how to phrase it without spoiling anything. It does come up later in this book, like the Salanda and their adventures through like the different warrens. So I'm not going to say anything before you read that. But it is significant for everyone involved. I'll just say that. But whatever they went through, they don't know what the fuck happened either. But it's definitely changed them in some manner. Be it literal or like mental, because okay, what the fuck did this just happen? Like that's enough to drive you into another perspective.
I guess since we're talking about this, because a lot of this transpired in the first chapter in the Chain of Dogs with the dragon and the Salanda, but this might sound really dumb, but maybe you guys will kind of like agree. But when Culp is trying to get the Salanda like out of the warren, like I just felt like childbirth vibes. Like they had the tear in the warren, and I'm just like, this is like a kid being born almost. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but like that's just kind of what I felt like.
No, it could be, but it didn't stand out to me that way. But it sort of makes sense that because I mean, I see what you're saying, but
it might not have any bearing on anything down the road or whatever. But it's just like, well, this, yeah, I don't know, just yeah, that's all. I'm done.
I thought it was really cool. I think the thing that I'm latching onto the most was Culp and his ability to use the power of illusion to take things that to an unobservant eye don't relate and make them relate, like transitioning like the shadows and what existed in the Minas Warren, because water to water, land to land, etc., he was able to use what was in the Tisti Idur to represent sand or Minas or I forget the specifics of it, but I'm sure we'll talk about that in our next episode, as I did write it down, and I don't have those notes in front of me. But, yeah, I just thought it was really cool, like, breaking that down, him using what he had available in his Warren to transition from Warrens, using the concept of land to land, sea to sea, etc.
Are you guys saying, how is he saying Edur? Diced Edur? How do you say it?
Edur?
I think it's Tisti.
We don't know.
Tisti
I think the
Edur.
official pronunciation is Diced, but I used to say Tisti until like a few months ago. So,
Yeah, Eric calls it Diced Andy and Diced Edur.
Ticed. Okay, all right. I think I could change my headcanon on that. I
do too.
I think the Ticed Edur are, from what I understand, it almost kind of, I feel like an extended family. Like, they all were born from Mother Dark and Light, is kind of where I'm going with this, because they have gray skin. The Tisti Andi have black skin. I think that there's probably a third one that has all white skin. So just kind of me again being nerdy artistic again. This is where I'm going with that. So I think that there's some type of kind of like similar to the Wiccans, where there's just this civil war between groups, right? Extended family. the Tistidur are in support of light, and the Tista-Andi are not. So they're battling each other, and thus the reason we have headless Tist-Andi heads that are... Yeah. That's just me. You guys are laughing at me, and I don't know how to take this.
No, Lee is just like shutting his mouth because we really can't tell anything. Okay, I'll just tell you one thing because I'm reading the prequels right now. Okay, I'm reading prequels from Esselmont, which deals with Path to Ascendancy books, where it's all about Kellen Wade and Dancer's their drama and their how exactly they built an empire and all that. And the other prequel series is Karkanas by Erickson, which deals with all the Teist things. The ones he was mentioning about why these guys have Andy and Edur and how exactly they are formed. And it's supposed to be the prequel story of them. And both these prequels, my biggest gripe is they make no sense. Anything, they make absolutely zero sense compared to the main 16 books which we've read so far. They have no correlation with them, and it frustrates me so much. It's entertaining on their own. They're good books, but whatever stories we have here, and because I've read the Karkanas, I don't have a good hold on what exactly the Teist are doing in the Book of the Fallen. Like you have your impressions, right? Like you're able to tell me that these guys have this skin and this is what is going on between them. I have zero clue because Karkanas just like messed up my whole understanding of what's going on with the Teist. And it's just, these guys, they build up something and then they make a prequel series and then they break it down. It's extremely frustrating. That's all I'm going to say because those are the two series which we are reading right now in our pod, and it's just all I'm getting out of these prequel books is that if there is a legend in the Book of the Fallen and in the novels, if there is a legend saying that X happened in Y manner,
it's probably wrong.
It's wrong. It's going to be 100% wrong. It's going to be the exact opposite. Nothing in X happened and Y did not show up at all, and something else entirely new happened. This is what the prequels are telling me, and so I'm just saying that there's no reliable lore. There is no canon. So whatever you guys know about the Teist will be based on your understanding of the last book you read. If you finish all 10 books or all 16 books, you're going to have one impression. Then you go back and read the Karkanas, you're going to have a completely different impression, and nothing is going to correlate with anything. That's
There's one more book coming there, right? There's still one more book coming that's not finished.
It's a bit
so there's
unfair.
hope it could tie together.
It's a bit unfair to compare the two because it's complicated. It's not meant to mesh on purpose, and the books itself acknowledge this, that they're not going to mesh. It's more complex than this. It's you'll see when you actually read it. It's supposed to contradict itself on purpose to make a point, not because they don't know what the fuck's happening. The authors know what's going on, you don't.
Sure.
That's the difference. They're playing with the fact that you don't know what's happening, which the truth, there is no truth. But if there wasn't one truth, you don't know it, and you're given a lot of versions of truth, and you can just pick and choose which ones you like more, that are more plausible. So, if the Book of the Fallen seems to tickle your fancy of what the truth is, that's completely fine. It's valid. It works. So.
No, it's becoming harder and harder after reading Karkanas and the other prequels to address questions based on knowledge which you have in the Book of the Fallen, because everything gets so confusing and everything gets so contradicted repeatedly that I don't have an answer for anything basically. If you ask me anything about the Teist, I don't know. My answers would be all over the place. So I'll just listen when you say that these guys have this skin and this is what is going on with them. I'm just happy to listen. I don't have an answer.
Okay, all right. Okay, I'll take it.
Well, we're still babies in this, really. I mean, we're a book and a half in.
Yeah.
We just don't know any better yet. We're going to touch the hot stove here.
So, I guess now that cool. I guess thank you for that unanswered.
What happened to the Tide Eater guys on the ship?
What?
Can you guys tell, like, what's going on with the Tide Eater on the ship?
That's
They
what
find
They're just out rowing around. They're a fucking Olympic rowing team just out for a swim.
Okay.
Well, I think it's interesting that the Minas Warren is a child of the Edur Warren. So,
I'm never going to get over this.
sorry,
Mean-ass
am
Warren.
I saying
I'm
it
sorry.
wrong again?
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. I'm just not gonna get over it.
So I've changed your canon, like I did with Mora and the Krupp thing. So now you're just gonna say, mean ass.
And,
I mean, I just think I think it's Ragnapur, and my first thought goes back to Dignapur. So like you guys want to come with me.
Dick Nipper. That one was Mora. That was your partner there.
Oh God, no! I hope you guys tell all these things to Erickson. I would love to know what, because I don't think people have been this irreverent with him.
I'm sure they probably approached Mr. Erickson with a little bit more professionalism than we would. Yeah.
Okay. So we were talking about the Eater, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting that it is. It's an elder Warren. But at the same time, it's also the Minas Warren is a child of the Edur Warren. So my question is like, Kellanved and Dancer being more recently ascended than an Elder Warren, is this something where they joined forces with the Edur, or did they completely take them out? Is there some type of mutual interest here? I mean, did they wipe out the Edur? This is where they have to be related in some way. I don't have any specifics to say either way.
Lee, do you want to take this, Lee?
So my favorite analogy for what Kellanved and Dancer did is essentially they went to the door, right? Think of a big establishment, right? A big building, right? Well, a big door, a big ornate, old-looking door. And then they knocked. And they waited. And then they knocked again. And again. And then no one would open.
So it's abandoned?
And they knock again, hang on, what the fuck is this? And then they open the door, very slowly, very, reverently, is there anyone here? And they open the door, and they notice, deep in the distance, a way bigger building within their building, holy shit, hang on. We're not gonna go there, but there's no one here. So maybe if we just pretend that building doesn't exist, maybe they let us be. So, is it a mutual understanding? Is it they killed the Eater? Is it, I don't know. It's more like they're pretending the Eater don't exist.
Got it. Okay.
I felt like you were going to make an analogy to vampires and how they're waiting to be invited in.
I'm sure if the Eater were stupid enough to invite these two into the realm, I think they'd take it over in a heartbeat, but I don't think they're that dumb.
So what did you guys think of the reveal? This big reveal of... Did you guys guess it in Gardens? No, right?
Get what in Gardens?
The whole reveal of Kellanved and Dancer?
I mean, we didn't catch it in Gardens. I know that there was a little ambiance towards them ascending with something that somebody says. I think it was Shadow Throne is not as old as we think it is, or something like that, or it was a newer... I just never put two and two together. But yeah. So no, to answer your question, I didn't catch that.
I didn't either. I'm just a lovable idiot. I didn't catch it.
Were you guys thrown? Because I was so shocked. My jaw dropped when I read that reveal on page. And apparently, apparently Erickson thought he was being he was explicit in Gardens, mentioning that poem about the emperor is dead and so too his rope and all that. He thought he was being very explicit. He thought people would get it.
There's a quote about between Darusal and Kalam, and Kalam's like, well, these guys like came into power like 10 years ago, and that's when the Emperor Netter died. Like Darusal, like, oh shit, it's that obvious, isn't it? And then it's not brought up again. Like everyone misses it. So
Not everyone misses it.
I missed it. I think Mora missed it. Like it's not on you guys. It's
Well,
not,
I think when we figured it out in this book, I think I read that chapter before you, right, Justin? And I was like, oh my God, like, you got to read this. I think.
Well, yeah,
Maybe?
absolutely. No, yeah. I feel like the majority of the time you get to the chapters that you get to them before I do. But it was one of our YouTuber comments, a guy named Dylan Harris, who pointed out the epigraph from the prologue as what you were saying, Mora, is that it's kind of obvious right then and there that they've ascended. So
it's not obvious. No, I think it's just there are some people who pick it up who have a specific type of reading skills, but most of us don't. And Erickson thought he was being very obvious, and he found that after Gardens was published and nobody really picked it up, and that's why he made an obvious scene in Deadhouse Gates, so that people like actually know that these two guys are the ascended gods. So that's the level of trust he has on us as readers.
well, I mean, if there's a consistent pattern, I mean, yeah, you might have to address that. So
I'm just going to say that feels like a lot of weight on my shoulders to be expected to pick that up because I didn't.
I hope you guys ask him this, I hope you guys ask him what was he thinking, like how did he think that this was so obvious, and please ask him about the Shadow Throne and the dancer reveal. I think it will be fun.
It's crazy to think because we're about halfway through this book and it feels like we have a long way to go, and at the same time it feels like it's gone so fast. So it's kind of this weird deal. I feel like we're going to finish this book up before we know it, and at the same time it just kind of feels a long ways off.
Yeah,
it's a weird feeling.
It's like you guys are doing this, right? Like you're reading, summarizing, and then discussing and putting it out. And it's like a continuous process. So I totally understand what you mean, that it's going so fast, but it's actually taking like months together to finish one book. But because you're doing it day to day on like almost every day, you guys have to spend time on this, right? So it's going to feel like it's going fast. Yeah.
I think we usually just, for me, I usually just, we finish up a chapter and then we read like within a day or two, I'll read the next one and just like due to the nature of Justin's job, he's like, I think you're able to like read at work more easily. Like I'm not able to. So it's like a lot of times I read the chapter and then most times I don't get to read it a second time. Like I'll go through it again as I'm summarizing things, but it's not like I'm really reading it a second time. And Justin's got a little bit more freedom that way where he can, I feel like sometimes you read the chapter 2 or 3 times and then you summarize. Or you read it, you summarize, and then you read it again. It's just the nature of what our jobs are and what we have time for.
I love details. I want to know it. I want to know it all. So
are you guys listening to the audiobooks? Like as a companion?
I can't. I know I'm a podcaster and it's still weird to say that, but I can't. I have a hard time listening to people talk. So, if I'm like for entertainment purposes, I don't know. So.
And it's so weird because like I love it. Like I haven't listened to any audiobooks in a while, but I've listened to the first few Wheel of Time books. I've listened to the Stormlight Archive. I haven't read or listened to Rhythm of War yet, but those are the only audiobooks I've done. But given the opportunity, I would much rather have the physical book in my hand.
Yeah.
No, it would help for the summarizing part to me because I'm also doing the same thing with the read along or the subreddit. So sometimes I like to listen to like a good chapter. It's nicer when I listen and it's easier when it's time to actually put the summary on page. It makes it easier. And like people like Gessler and Stormy, I get confused between the two. They're so similar in character, and the audiobook narrators like give them different voices, and it makes it, it separates them in my head. So things like that. It might be just, nice to have it on the background once in a while. And Derek, Justin, sorry, I completely agree with you because listening to a single person talk always puts me to sleep. All audiobooks put me to sleep. I cannot listen. And that's the main reason I wanted a co-host for a podcast because I really can't. I can't. I need that conversation. Like a single person talking is something I can't listen. Sorry.
I think I kind of shed light on whose idea Smiley's podcast was to begin with.
I mean, you've been going around telling everyone that you just show up and talk, so I don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah, just in case anyone was curious.
But it would be so hard to do this on your own. Like it just, like Justin and I have such different ideas sometimes on the same thing that we read. It would not be as fun if I was doing this on my own. First of all, it wouldn't get done. But
Amen to that.
Like it would just be so boring. Like if it was just me, and if I didn't have some sort of just in some cases opposite ideas. Like Justin's got sometimes completely opposite ideas of what I'm thinking, and there's nothing like I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and I'm certainly not mad about it. But it's a lot of fun to have his like just a 180 on it. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I totally didn't think about it that way. Like it just gives you another perspective to think about things, and yeah, it just makes it so much better. I don't know. I couldn't do this on my own even if I wanted to.
No.
It wouldn't work.
Mm-mm. No, having someone to bounce back things on is, I think it makes it a little bit more entertaining too. So, yeah.
And this is the one type of series in which, like, opposite perspectives, there's no right or wrong answer. So it's good to have people with different viewpoints. And Lee and I don't agree on most things. So I think that makes it much more fun for us because anyone I like is going to shoot it down saying, do you guys know, because you have not heard the latest episode, him and another guest, both of them were trying to tear down Coltrane. I was so mad and I don't have support for that.
That's being unfair. That is being quite unfair.
They said something like, we don't like Coltrane, we just like the idea of Coltrane. This was the difference these guys were telling me.
What I said is that I find Duiker to be a much more interesting character than Coltrane because Coltrane's pretty like a one-note thing. He's just a really good military commander that doesn't speak shit because he commands things and people do. Duiker is the lens through which we view him, and because of that, we view his emotions, we experience his emotions, his ideas, his view on things, his experiences. It's a lot more interesting to view that way. And don't get me wrong, I like Coltrane. Okay, I like Coltrane. I like the underdog story. I like the cool ass exotic warrior guy who kicks ass and takes names. I like that. I really do like that. But Duiker is a novel take on a character I've never seen before, and I really like the way he's done. Especially in a reread, Duiker shines through a lot. And I think Duiker is the best framing for Coltrane to shine because you have the sappers that are horribly, horribly reverent to Coltrane and the chain of command in general. So you would not take him seriously if you had a sapper perspective of like, yeah, well, fuck that guy. We're gonna go dig a hole beneath like the bridge or something, build a bridge and then just like blow the shit up. Like fuck whatever the command says. Or a soldier who takes orders, who's just like, okay, whatever. I guess I'm just a lowly dude that does what he's told. Duiker gets to participate in command decisions. He gets to observe. He gets to write things down. He gets to input things. And viewing Coltrane through that lens, to a guy who's fought him before, is much more interesting than just saying, okay, well, so Coltrane's a badass. We take that for granted. Whatever, cool. Instead, Coltane's like, what is? Do you guys remember what his introduction is? Of like the ships, of like everyone hates the Wiccans, and they land on the ships.
And he just doesn't like back down at all.
And then like the Red Blades come along to like charge down like civilians in Hissar because they're like supposed revolutionaries and like rebels, and then the Wiccans show up and like, no, fuck off, you're not doing this. This isn't happening. Yeah. And they have like a stand down, and that's when you know this guy's a badass, not because someone told you he's a badass, because you see he is a badass. So I think Duiker's framing of Coltane is a much more interesting, a much better way to frame and view Coltane than simply having a soldier who just follows orders. And for that reason, I think Duiker is more interesting than Coltane. Now, I don't remember what Nif said, so maybe Nif straight up trashed Coltane, but that's my take on Coltane. I don't remember, you know.
No, I think the whole point I just want to make here is that all these different viewpoints, they're all valid, and they all lead to a more fun conversation. And that's why, a single person talking about these things wouldn't have the kind of impact which you would have when, at least two people talk. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And that's why the subreddit is so much fun for me, because each time we see new perspectives. And do you know, there was this guy who called Bult as the anger translator of Coltane, which made perfect sense.
He can't say anything because like an official of the Empire, but Bolt is like outside of the Empire, so they can do whatever. So like he translates whatever Coltane wants to say, but off the record.
Yeah.
And he's also incredibly dry. Like there's a scene with Duiker where like Duiker's like, well, Coltane calls you uncle. Yeah, he does. So are you? Am I what? It's like it's great. It's awesome.
Yeah, Bolt and Coltane are interesting. So.
No, like this is the only kind of humor you can expect in this book. So that's like it's so rare. It's so few. So too little, too late. That's the type of jokes you get in Deadhouse Gates.
I just in this chapter that we've read, the first chapter of the Chain of Dogs. There's some humor in that where Hebrick and Culp are kind of going back and forth a little bit, and Hebrick's just like, he says something like, are you prepared for this? I can't remember exactly what he said. He's like, this is exactly what I planned for. Like, can you not tell? I can't remember exactly what it was, but just the way Culp like just kind of spits it right back to him immediately. It was a good little bit of humor in a very tense situation. And I enjoyed that and appreciated that.
Oh, when Culp comes out of the Warren, he's just like, the boat is rocking. Is this what you planned? Of course it's what I planned.
Yeah. And then he's like, he tells him to, like, I can't remember what he says, but he tells him something else. And like, it was just one of those kind of like comedic relief moments. Like, just like, that's what you need at that time.
It's almost like
not necessarily what you expect.
It's almost like these jokes are so, because the rest of the book is so harsh and so sad that even this, it's hardly a joke. Let's be rational here. Let's be objective. It's hardly a joke when Culp says this snarky thing that, oh yes, this is what I planned. But still we latch onto that because there is nothing light about this whole book. So even the smallest joke, you're going to like laugh at it because you just want that relief from the rest of it. So it's not objectively funny, but it's a good book. It's very highly rated among fans.
I can see why. I mean, it's this like like Justin. I mean, the only major series I've finished is The Wheel of Time, and I've read Game of Thrones, at least what's been published, and A Storm of Swords is one of my favorite books. It's been a long time since I've read that, but I mean, this just feels so much different, and this book itself, I think, will probably rate really high. If I had to write a list of the books, favorite books, this one would probably be towards the top, and maybe even the top book.
Yeah. And
So
we've only
far.
finished like half. Yeah.
Yeah, we're only halfway there.
Right, exactly. So it's just, I can't wait to see what's in store. I can't stop saying that. It's just like, I'm not sure what's going to happen next, but I can't wait to find out.
Yeah.
And honestly, what you've read so far is like just the intro of this book. The second half is when things actually pick up. Second half has like I don't know. It's like 20% is what you finished. Whether you finish 50%, 80% of the book is still left. There is so much more happening, so much more to come across, and there is a lot to discuss once you finish Deadhouse Gates.
But the book itself, it just gets its hooks in you, and it just draws you in, and you just, yeah. I mean, like I said before, I can't wait to see what the next turn is.
It's harder than it was in Gardens of the Moon to not read. Like it is,
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
surmountably more. Okay, all right, this happened. I really want to find out what's next.
I think it's like in the prologue where it grabs you by the balls and just doesn't let go.
It does.
Okay,
it totally
well-
does.
So fucking like flies, and this dude just disappears. The flies fly away. There's nobody there. Just like people are dying, and some dude saws the lady's head off with a chain. Like holy fucking shit, what's happening?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
dark as hell. Like Jesus, man. It makes me wonder what kind of state of mind you're in to write something like that, let alone a whole book that's this dark, only halfway through.
Yeah. It's this whole fly things, the bunch of flies which keeps coming up. It comes up again and again. I think you guys should, keep noticing it. It's a motif in the whole of Deadhouse Gates. It's
Yeah.
something just keep an eye out for that. Yeah.
Keep an eye out.
Well, we only have like 3 questions left, and they're really not even questions. They're more just kind of like, I feel like they're things that we really liked. I don't know. What would you say, Derek?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you want me to take this next one.
Go for it.
So one of the things I've really enjoyed, and he hasn't had a lot of page time, but we get Corporal List, and when we first meet him, he's just kind of getting his ass handed to him in the mock.
He dies a
battle.
lot. He dies like the first time.
Dies a
in the
lot.
game.
Yeah, like every time he's just
Poor
like,
guy.
standing on the sidelines. But he doesn't get discouraged by that, and he really uses it as a learning opportunity to, I think he mentions, he's standing near Coltane and just absorbing all this information. And, later on in this book, especially at the Battle of the River, I can't remember the name of the river, but
Sakala.
Stella? The other one?
Akala, probably, yeah.
Sakala, yeah. So he's taken all these opportunities where, these mock battles, he's made mistakes and he's grown and he's learned from it to put himself in a position where, like, he's not going to make those mistakes again, where he can stay alive and not actually get killed. And he's just kind of, I guess, an escort to Duiker around the battlefield. But I really liked it. It was just fun to see, this guy you kind of think is like just supposed to get smoked, like who probably wouldn't survive long, and just kind of turn things around and kind of, I don't know how much of a player he's going to be later on in the book, but at least in that chapter, he's really integral to keeping Duiker safe, I feel, and just making sure he's in the right spot. And obviously, like if you're in, I couldn't imagine being in that type of fight. It's not like you're in a fight with guns shooting people from 100 yards away. I mean, you got a sword or a spear, and somebody's like 8 feet away from you getting stabbed or slashed. But he absorbed all this information and just made himself better for it. Just to see that kind of growth out of somebody who I didn't really expect it, and made himself better for it. I really like that.
It's
Again, not really a
like,
question, but
Just more of a hot take, I guess. Yeah.
It's not a hot take.
There you go.
I appreciate
Yeah. I think it's like it adds an interesting like dichotomy between the old seasoned jaded soldier of we're all gonna fucking die to like the young recruit guy who has a lot to learn still but can still offer his input and his insight to what's going on. And I think Duiker himself appreciates him a lot because, you know, not only is he there for him, you know, he's also a young, less jaded voice, you know, a more optimistic voice, which really helps when Duiker has been going through the shitmire of 7 cities in the wake of the chain of the Seventh Army, watching as people die, and then the natives right away say like the Wiccans are demons and they're killing us all and shit like that, and like their arrows multiply in midair. List serves as a very good grounding for Duiker to actually write down his histories.
Yeah, well, especially like now that you mentioned that, where you know Duiker's like, oh well, things are going to hell now. You guys are fucked, and Bliss is like, hey, give us a chance. This isn't our first fight here.
Yeah, well, this
Like,
isn't our
just
first rodeo. I've died like 10
that-
times in mock battles, motherfucker. I didn't die for nothing.
Yeah, like that optimism in like such a dire situation is like, it was good to see that. It's just kind of like, okay, well, like, yeah, things don't look great, but like, hey, Khan was out because like we can come back from this. Like just his faith in Coltane to just take care of things. I don't know. Sometimes I have a hard time putting things, like, I know what I'm thinking, but like it's just
No, yeah.
yeah.
I think it will coalesce
That's kinda
more
what I
when
thought it
the
was.
more you read, it will coalesce easier because you'll get more into these characters. So,
Well, and I mean, even in the last chapter that we just recently podcasted about, Duiker is taking that optimism as well, right? And he's just like, well, everything's working the way everything's worked so far, so why doubt the process, you know? So I feel like List is maybe rubbing off a little bit onto Duiker, which I feel like
exactly.
just based on my own experiences, I feel like those jaded type of people kind of look down upon those that are learning or, you know, getting to the point of mastery. So I guess it's just a refreshing take.
Can I just ask you guys, how many historians have you been seeing in Deadhouse Gates so far?
Just 2.
Historians, the history people, how many history people have you been seeing?
Just Hebrick and Duiker, right?
Duiker. That's all I can think of.
Ooh, yeah, it's more than what we've seen so far. I mean, there's a reason for 2 imperial historians to show up in the same book, and I just want you guys to keep that in mind. That's all.
And one's in the mines and the other's with the army.
Right.
I think that's also important to
Yes.
note. Yeah.
There's definitely some stark differences. And we know that Duiker sent Culp to go help Hebrick. So, yes. We're definitely keeping that in mind. What it all means right now, I feel like it's very slow in its reveal. So...
Oh, no, there is no reveal like anytime soon. But I just want you to know that Erickson is like extremely intentional. Like if he's choosing to put 2 historians in this book, there is a solid reason why he's doing that.
Like if you read back to the prologue, it's like mentioned why Heboric is in the mines. Like he essentially wrote treason, right? About like how Lassine's a murderer and she botched the job. That's what Bowden says, I think.
Yeah.
And then Heboric's like, yeah, but well, it's just a mere disagreement in philosophical identity or something. I don't remember exactly how he phrases it. He phrases it in a very funny way. And then he mentions that Duiker spoke in his trial in his defense. But Duiker is an imperial historian. He's been here officially sanctioned since forever. So he writes the official history. He says what history is. And then Heboric wrote against that. And he went to the mines. And then Duiker writes in his defense and then sends someone to rescue him. So clearly something's up between the two.
Oh, absolutely, and that's what I was
That's another
saying.
layer to Hiborik and Duiker.
Yeah.
So
That's, I guess, what I was saying has yet to be revealed. It's just that stuff, but it's definitely in the back of my mind.
And Erickson and Letterman, they don't have because of their background in education and all that, with anthropology, archaeology and stuff, they know that human history is very fallible. That whatever recorded history we have is not accurate. It's never going to be 100%. So they try to show that in Malaysian, and that's why these prequel discrepancies, which we were telling you, that nothing makes sense between the Book of the Fallen and the prequels and all that. It's all deliberate because this is what they want to show. They want to show you that the history which we have preserved and which we have access to right now is never going to be what exactly happened.
Yeah, even like Deadhouse, as aforementioned, presents the difference between the official history and the treacherous history, which turns out to be the correct one because Lassine did indeed botch the assassination, so these guys are still out there. So what the official statement, the official histories of the Muslim Empire might be, aren't 100% accurate. Well, I would say they're more like 0% accurate, but that's a wholly different discussion.
That's what I've been saying. That's what I've been saying this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Derek, you didn't listen.
No comment.
Anyway, I think my favorite part of this sub book, The Whirlwind, is the Mad Mage in the Sea. I don't know why I connect with this. Not really connect, but just it's such an abstract thing. I don't know what movie or show it was from, but I remember there was just this image of a rag doll being tossed and torn into this stormy lightness sky, and what that's from I have no fucking idea. Probably something I watched when I was super little, but for whatever reason that image has just ingrained in me, and that's what I got. That was the canon I got when I was reading about this Mad Mage. Was just this rag doll just being turned into this unsolicited sorcery that just cannot be controlled or subsided. I just fucking loved it.
Yeah. I not a question, so.
No, definitely not a question. It was just my biggest take. You're drunk, aren't you?
We both are. Helplessly drunk.
I can tell more with Mora than I can you, Lee.
To be fair, I've gone to the bathroom 4 times by now, so that's probably why. But
Yeah,
Mora,
you broke the seal.
yeah, Mora does drink more heavy drinks than I do. I drank beer, Mora drinks rum with cola, and so the same volume of alcohol is intaken by far less liquid. So
Okay. You guys had 3 points. I think you asked me 1.
yeah, that's 1. Bending the Mad Mage, maybe 2.
No, that was it. The list and the Mad Mage. The only other thing, and I know we briefly touched on this earlier, was Aptorian, and how Kalam and the Aptorian seem to be kind of bonding a little bit, and to the point where, Apt is almost kind of executing Kalam's desires a little bit by, again, we read the first chapter in Chain of Dogs, by saving that boy that was on the pike with no nose and eyes, and then eventually has a conversation with Shadow Throne about converting these people into servants. So,
I feel like there's a little bit of telepathic abilities or something.
yeah, because before you get this sense of you almost feel like the Apt is just this dumb bird, right? Just kind of a bird, and you don't, I guess it just, I don't know. You just kind of feel like it's just another dumb animal, and you kind of realize that there's desires there, and I almost kind of wonder if Aptorian is some type of soul shifted something. If somebody, you know.
I feel like it could have been a person. I don't know who or what importance they played, but yeah, I feel like it might have been a person. Maybe that was transmogrified, Justin. Look at me using that word in a sentence.
See, we did it. We both did it. I almost said it at work the other day. I almost used it in work the other day, and I'm like, I don't know if they would understand what I'm saying. So I hesitated.
Well, I just went for it. No hesitation.
Yeah, well, that's
I feel like maybe there's somebody there. Like, yeah, I don't know who or what, but yeah, it seems like there's something there for sure.
No, one thing constantly which you guys are going to see in Malazan is whenever they use the word demon, it comes with all your pre-existing notions of what a demon is, right? Like it's just a dumb bird. It doesn't have thinking capacity, or you're not supposed to feel bad for it. It's just a demon. There's nothing more to it. But you remember the Garden's demon called Pearl?
Yep.
Who asks Quickwen,
Do you pity me? Yeah.
Yeah. And then now you have Aptorian, who is, is not just a dumb bird. She has a gender and she has a lot of characters. It's going to come up, but
yeah, you'll very quickly notice that demon is being used as like an umbrella term for outsider. So anything the humans and like the races within the main quote unquote world don't understand is a demon. Everything, no matter what its origin, everything is a demon, right? Because Pearl, I think, is from like the Demon Warren, I guess, or whatever. Like he's captured from some other Warren. But the Aptorian is an evil shadow of mean ass. Yeah. So
you're welcome, Lee.
You're
welcome.
Everybody uses like the term demon for very, very different creatures that are not related in the slightest because they don't understand them.
Got it. I guess that makes sense. Yeah. I had a thought, but now I don't remember it.
No, it's just easy to dismiss. Whenever a demon comes up, it's just so easy to dismiss it that it's just a demon. But you're going to get some nuance too. You're never going to be able to say, oh, this is just this bad guy. I hope he dies. It's never going to happen. The bad guy is going to get some...
It's very frustrating, by the way, too. It's very frustrating that you can never get someone to just unequivocally hate. You have to have some caveat. And I hate it.
And you guys have not heard because, obviously you've not heard our podcast, but in one of the episodes, like there was this one villain guy whom I so desperately wanted to hate, but then I couldn't hate by the time the book ends. So you know who I decided to start hating? Because I can't hate all these fictional characters. I've decided to start hating Erickson and Esselmont for not giving me a villain whom I can
someone, goddammit, something.
Someone's
just one guy whom you can hate without any hesitation. It's so clear. It's just so frustrating. Yeah.
So these books that we love, we're just going to start hating the author then.
That's
we don't hate the
story
author.
Of my life. Yes,
we hate Circle Breaker.
Okay.
That is the character we don't like. Is Circle Breaker.
You don't like Circle Breaker?
No, I'm just saying if you want someone to hate Circle Breaker. It's his fault.
The authorial insert. Yeah, his fault.
Yeah. Anyway, I remembered my thought. So going back to the pearl thing that you brought up from Gardens of the Moon, is there a coincidence that the claw that comes out to meet Ystara Gil or whatever, his name was also Pearl? Is there something there too?
You're going to start noticing like these things that are either coincidences or antics from their RPG days because of constraints on races. I think this one is a coincidence, but you'll notice very quickly that there is a lot of like half/quarter/ whatever Dice Dandy or like Dice Teacher or some different race/human in like major organizations, and it's like very confusing. But like because there's a disproportionate amount of people, like Topper, who's like half Andy, You have like Belurden, who's a Thelamin, right? You have what's his face? A lot of other people that are like not only human, and all of that comes from like antics of the RPG days, which were constrained because of rules that only certain races could access certain magics. So in order to have cool spells, we need to make a character with these like race traits. So this particular one, I think, is just a coincidence, but you'll notice this motif come up a lot of like this guy's an entirely human because he kind of has to be, but like there's way too many non-human people in an entirely human empire to be like, is this like a coincidence or is something going on?
No, I think Justin meant like the name Pearl, which is
This particular one is, I think, a coincidence. I don't think there's any significance to it.
It's basically the authors not playing by the rules. Most of the time, if you have one character, it's just that one character is going to have that name.
Or he just forgot.
So in reality, like I'm not the only Justin who lives in this world.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is also true. That's a very good point. Yeah.
That's the justification which I've heard. That I know like 5 Jacks, so what's the point? Why can't there be 2 Pearls in the same universe? So it makes perfect sense, but these are the rules which most authors play by. They try not to confuse you. They give you different names for different characters. These guys don't play by those rules. So
that's fair.
So there's no correlation. Pearl is a claw, a half-handy claw, who's with Lostara Gill right now. What? I should shut up. What happened?
We don't know that yet. Cut that. We'll cut that in post.
What?
We'll pretend we don't know that.
We're lively.
Fuck! Cut the clip! Cut the
clip! Okay. Fair enough. I was thinking about Topper the other day and his green clothes. And, I totally forgot about him as a character. So... That's okay.
I'm sorry. I think I spoiled 2 things with you guys.
It's okay. Now we know that he's Tistande, so...
So is Topper. So why the fuck are there 2 different people that are like half handy in the claw? And the answer, I think, is they needed to be for these characters to have magic. If you wanted to be...
D&D? Do you guys play?
Play what?
D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, any RPG?
Yeah.
No.
I think the rules for the edition that we're playing is that you need to be some variation of a race, which in this case was Tistandi, or Tistandi, I guess is the proper pronunciation that we landed on, in order to be an assassin mage. So they made 2 of these guys, like Topper and Pearl. And so there's just a disproportionate number of Tistandi claws. There shouldn't probably be this many because there's not that many Tistandi human hybrids. So, but yeah,
right.
Well, you weren't supposed to know that he's a Nandi yet. It doesn't matter really.
It's not a big spoiler.
It's not a big deal.
It's
fine.
Whoops. It's not I would call that a little slip. It's cool. I am not robustly offended.
Derek, because Derek hangs out on Twitter. How have you not been spoiled about stuff? I try my best not to spoil anything on Twitter, but Derek, are you have you been spoiled on anything major which you've not been able to tell Justin? You can mute him and just tell him. No.
If I start reading a tweet and it's got something with Malazan, most of the time I just scroll past it quick because, But no, I haven't had anything spoiled yet. So, and I think generally the community is pretty good about it. So it's been fine.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes me feel like I'm doing things for the community, but I'm not actually part of the community because I don't want to know. Yeah. It's here's my thoughts and opinions on this particular part of the community, but everything else, fuck off.
But please don't tell me anything.
Right? Yeah. So that part makes me feel a little bit bad, but at the same time, I know that I'll get there. It is nice though. I'm excited for when I can get to that point. Because, with the Wheel of Time, I don't have to do that anymore. Anytime I see a Wheel of Time post, I'm like, I can read this, and I read it, and I like read the comments, and I'll respond, and that part is cool. So I'm waiting for the day when I can fully immerse into the Malazan community.
It is hard to be patient sometimes, though.
But
yeah.
full disclosure, we both are half a book away from being spoilers all. Like we still have half a book to go before we can say that we've read all the Malazan books. Oh, you have it on hand, nice. So I'm just saying that it's a long journey, but at least Book of the Fallen should bring you into most of the fan discussions. That's what most
Like
people have
80% or something.
Okay.
the 10 books. Yeah.
Awesome.
But because you guys are liking it so much and you have the time, I hope you include SL1 books.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I think
Yeah.
I think I think Justin that I feel like I would want you guys on for every book at some point. I think you probably feel the same way.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
it's just kind
Yeah,
of
no,
this.
this isn't a wham bam thank you, ma'am. No, this is a yeah. I hope that these.
So seriously, the thing which I enjoy the most is like new readers and their impressions about the books, which, because we've all read it and we know all these things. And it's so refreshing each time that somebody is excited about Coltrane and somebody, who doesn't know what to think about Felicin and struggles with that. This is the stuff which really excites me. So please do call us and we'll always show up with our drinks.
One of our patrons, Jan, said that every time you guys spoil something, you have to drink. So
Tell him we're way ahead of him, and I've finished my drink already. So the joke's on him.
Okay,
All
well,
4 beers, please.
you owe Jan a drink at some point in the
All
future.
right, duly noted. He can tweet at us. He knows, I think, our Twitter account. So just request a drink, and we'll drink our next episode away. Drink our sorrows away.
Jan is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jan is very
was
supportive.
with the other YouTuber veteran guy, and
Yep.
him and I got extremely drunk, and Lee was not drunk. So this is like an usual thing we do. So
Like I had COVID, and they both got like wasted, and I was like trying not to, I couldn't speak too much, or like I didn't have energy to talk too much. So I had to let these two drunks just go off for like 2 hours worth.
I would be where you guys are at 2 beers. Like I don't drink very often or much. So
Yeah, I don't either.
Well,
I had 2 beers, but to be fair, my first one was over 12%.
I think I'll have
my
to-
second one was 8.
guys, I think I'll have to go. Please carry on the rest. I'm sorry. It's like 2 a.m. and I have people calling me. Sorry. Bye. Take care.
bye. Thank you.
Good night, Mora.
Bye.
Good night.
Yeah, good night.
And then there were 3.
And then there were 3. Actually, if you don't mind, Lee, I have my boss gave me some brandy like a year ago, so I'm gonna go grab that. BRB.
No, I think
Yeah.
I feel like I want you guys on every book we do at some point. I feel like we've got a good relationship between the four
I
of
hope
us,
so.
and it's been a lot
I
of
hope
fun. So I hope someday down the road, like we can all meet in person. Like that's the goal. That's the dream. I think that would be
That'd be
that
sick.
would be awesome. I don't know how we would organize that.
I think it's a
What
bit
would you
difficult
do?
given everything, but yeah, I think it'll be sick. Yeah, I think it'll be really nice. So
Yeah, it would
if
be cool.
and when, I don't know. I would be down. I mean, I don't think it's like the country like we don't want to. It's like
There's just a lot of logistics there.
yeah, but we'll figure it out. It's fine.
So yeah, no, and I don't know how much you've listened to us, but like I'm constantly blown away by just like the amount of friends we've made doing this, like all around the world. Like I never expected that. So it's so cool to me, just to make that connection.
Mm-hmm. It always like shocks me whenever I look at our like listeners, how like diverse it. Like there's like 40 different countries. Like, what the fuck are you people from? Like, I didn't know there were this many people that know about Malazan and care about us. Like, hell, what the fuck? Hello?
Right. Yeah. So it is cool, and it's really, it's humbling. That's how I feel.
Absolutely. Like, we get like 30, 40 views a day. Like lately, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? We got like 2, and I was fine doing like 2, 5, 10 views. Now we got like 40, 50 a day. Like, what the hell?
Nice.
Us? We? No, this should be happening.
You guys are killing it.
And it's not just humbling. It's like, we weren't expecting anyone. Okay, then.
Yeah.
We weren't really expecting to listen, so. I think we've gone away from any sort of like Malazan discussion. This we're just drinking away our sorrows, pretending we're discussing things.
No, that's fair. I think the way that we could probably end this is by talking about our little bet, Derek. Our little pie bet. And I know that Lee cannot give us.
It appears, Lee, that I might be in the right here, at least on half of it.
Yes.
I'm all ears.
So we have this bet when we were going through the whole Shaikh getting killed by the Red Blades, and Mesler, I forget his fucking name, but he kind of seems to be like a spy of some kind.
Mebra.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he just kind of like, here, Kalam, take the book. Give it to Shaikh. You know? So I thought that was just a little bit suspicious. So I think the book is fake. So I don't actually think that the whirlwind was unleashed. I think that the people, the mentality, the I'm tired of Malazan control, what is the whirlwind? And so Derek thinks that Shaikh will be reborn, which, based on this first chapter of Chain of Dogs, I'm kind of getting the sense that that's probably going to happen. So I'm pretty sure that I'm getting a pie in the face. But I feel like they're kind of unrelated at the same time. Like, her being reborn has nothing really to do with the book being real or not. Or the whirlwind being unleashed from this book is real or not. Or related or not, you know?
Right. So, from a purely symbolic perspective, like, what does the whirlwind symbolize? I have to give it to Justin. I think, yes, the whirlwind from a symbolic perspective is the rage and the fury of the anti-colonialist sentiment of the Seven Cities people. But there is a very tangible prophecy of the apocalypse, and, you know, Shaikh the Seeress, and a whole lot of people that do genuinely believe that this shit is the real thing. So, is there going to be an actual whirlwind? What does that mean? What is the apocalypse? What is this prophecy about? I'm not going to tell you, but I agree from like a purely symbolic, from a purely thematic standpoint, that yes, even if Shaikh doesn't get reborn, if Shaikh just gets left on the side of the road to rot for the rest of the book, and her guardians starve like also on the side of the road, and nothing else happens, I think the whirlwind itself will have been achieved, will have been risen through the rage and the fury and the, this whole rebellion is essentially the whirlwind. But since this is not the real world and it's a magic world and it's magic stuff is happening, I will have to say that this is a Rafa, unfortunately.
I guess to me, I felt like the book was real, but what I was hung up on is that there's no way that I believe that Shaikh was done with this story. I'm not exactly sure how she was going to come back, but I have this feeling in some way, shape, or form, I'm very confident that she will be reintroduced into the story. So she may be dead for the time being, and like I told Justin, it might be 3 days later, but she's gonna come out of the tomb again. And I'm not an overly religious person by any means, but to use that analogy, Jesus coming back 3 days later or whatever, I think she's going to be back. And now we kind of get this revelation that Apsalar may be the vessel for that. And this first chapter, I read that. I'm like, Justin, you got to read this. And so then he read it, and then he's texting me his thoughts on it. And I kept sending him the Flex Seal guy. But wait, there's more. I kept sending him that meme. And because very early on, Justin had this thought that Servant was Apsalar's dad, and it appears that he is right. And I didn't really buy on it when he was talking about it, but I also wasn't against it. I just didn't really know how I felt. And so I was so excited when it looked like, it looks like he's right on that. But I, just kind of, it pulled a 180 a little bit. But I think Shaik's coming back somehow. I don't exactly know how yet. I don't know if it's really going to be Apsalar kind of bearing that brunt. But I think Shaik's coming back. And the book I'm less hung up on, where Justin thinks it's fake. I guess, if he's right and it's fake, I take a pie in the face. I still think Justin's taking a pie in the face ultimately, but,
Yep.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that they're using Apsalar's father as leverage, which is kind of the realization that Crocus has towards the end of that first chapter of Chain of Dogs. So, because the whole remember the whole one arm new, one arm old. Apsalar's dad didn't have an arm. Do you remember that?
Not a whole lot at this point, but
I mean, I didn't either until I read that chapter where Crocus reveals that fact about Apsalar's dad, and I'm like, fuck, that's right. Because we thought he was Dujek at first. All those way, all that.
That would have been a much cooler story.
Yeah, so, yeah.
High Fist of Janabagas at day and Servant of Iskarel at night. It would be great. I would have read the fuck out of that series. But yeah, no, it's probably not Dujek.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think the only other thing that's like really weird is Moby coming in and out of the story. Like, he's there, then he's gone. I mean, we haven't read him for, I don't know, what, 3 or 4 chapters now. We haven't read about him, so.
Yeah, I know. At one point, I felt like there's something deeper there. Like, I thought maybe it was Crocus's dad or something, right? I don't even remember now. It's been a while, but.
Yeah.
Or, no, it was his uncle.
Yeah. Moby was Mammoth's familiar, so.
Yeah. Because he got blown up with Raced, and so I'm like, well, maybe he went into Moby. I don't know.
I don't think it's a spoiler to say that there is more to Moby in this book. So.
That's what I thought, and
there is something going on.
I almost kind of feel like, because from what I understand from one of the epigraphs, is that, what's the guy in the first one? Baruch. Baruch is like the master of pets and sorcerers. And so I feel like he maybe potentially either, like, it's one of Crocus's parents that is in Moby, or it is his Mammoth for whatever reason, But yeah, I definitely think that there's something more to Moby, and Derek was the first to pick up on that. But what it is,
we both pick up on different things, so that's the beauty and the fun is we both pick up on different things. So
yeah.
I don't know how much more we got to go on here.
I eagerly await the resolution of the pipettes.
There will be video.
Yep, there will be video.
Very good.
I just hope that I don't take 2 pies in the face, because that's exactly what having 2 different sides of the bet means. So, if the book is real, well then I guess I'm taking another pie. So, yeah.
We'll see.
Yep. But I don't know. I guess we could probably make like Poost and giggle out, right? But
should we wrap it up then?
I think
I
so. I
believe so.
mean, we're going on 3 hours and 10 minutes, so
God damn.
I'm sure that Lee is probably tired.
I'm fine. I can go on, but
What
you
time
know,
is it
I
in
think
Greece?
we unfortunately it's like 10:40, so
Oh, okay.
I'm fine. I'm not too.
Oh,
it's
so
not too late.
there's like a
Like,
there's like a
you know.
4-hour difference between you and Mora.
it's 3:30. Yeah, it's 3 hours 30 minutes.
Okay.
I mean, it's a pretty good jump, but I mean, obviously, yeah, we're like
But-
totally on the other side of the water from each other. So.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, I think we ran out of topics. If we, I think that could easily go on for like another hour if we had shit to talk about. But as it
Yeah,
stands,
for
I don't
sure.
want to spoil anything because I already slipped a few times. So, I believe this is where I ought to thank you because it's been a fucking blast. I had a lot of fun. Due to external circumstances, COVID, I couldn't go out to drink. So this was like my first time drinking in like 2 or 3 weeks or so. And I'm just very glad to spend it here. So thank you very much for having us.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
for-
we're happy to have you. And give Mora our best, and she had to duck out a little bit, but
Yep.
yeah,
Will do.
we can't wait to do this again here next book, sometime at some point next book. So
That's excellent. If you do actually get Steve, let us know because whenever Steve shows up, like the elusive Mr. Erickson shows up, it's a very big deal. So
Okay.
we wouldn't want to miss that. So thank you so much again, and we'll catch you next time when you finish the book, ideally, or next book, or whenever you guys want to. Just hit us up. We're probably gonna be here. We can
Okay.
arrange something.
awesome.
Well, let's take a cheers to 1 year of podcasting and 1 year of new relationships.
I'll drink in spirit because my beers are all empty. But you know, pretend I'm drinking.
Cool.
So, cheers.
Will do.
Cheers. All right. Well, again, thank you so much, Lee, and Smiley's podcast. You guys are amazing.
It's been a massive pleasure.
So,
So
but yeah, I bid you adieu.
have a good day.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Good day.
Bye.